Good news, everyone. It's the sink or swim time. It's the make it or break it moment. Will Joe Biden stay in the race or will he be embarrassed out of it?
I
What's
gotta get
your
a graphic. I gotta get a graphic. Good news. Good news.
Oh, with Biden?
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so good. Like a Biden looking Futurama-ish
This
icon.
this is it. So like this is going to be very perilous because either there's no C grade here, right? It's either A plus or fail. Because if
It's
he
gonna
just
be a
kind of like,
fail.
yeah, because if he just middles through it, like, then he'll still be pushed out, but just maybe a tad slower. If he does like A plus, then people will be like, oh, okay, I guess it's fine, which is probably not going to happen. But, and then obviously if it's just completely like the debate, it's over. It's Jova. This
Two,
is it. This is the end.
yeah, two things. It's over. It's completely over tonight. That's one. Second one is, aren't they scheduling meetings between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., right? What time is it? What time you got over there?
It's 6:30 after a long day of NATO press conferences or something.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
It's over. Like I say, refer back to one. It's over.
Well, did you notice that, or I'm sorry, did you know that right before this, when he was introducing Zelensky, he accidentally called Zelensky Putin?
No way. Oh
Yes.
my God.
Yes, he's like, let's all put our hands together for this awesome president who's so great, President Putin. And then
No
everyone started
way.
clapping. He's like, I mean, Zelensky. Like,
No
I
way.
got Putin on the mind because we're gonna take him down. I was like, oh no.
Did he really say that?
He did. He
Did he
did.
say he's
Yeah.
got Putin on the mind because we're going to take him down?
Something to that effect. I don't know the exact verbiage, but
And don't you love this president doing foreign policy just off the cuff?
yeah,
Isn't that, doesn't that make you feel safe in the world, Sitch?
it's not great. It's not
When he's
great.
when he's recovering from gaffes, just throwing out foreign policy
Hmm.
decisions.
Hmm.
We're going to take Putin down. What are you? How exactly are you going to do that, Mr. President? With nuclear weapons? This is
Well,
so.
I'm trying to remember. I should go look and see what the actual. Because you're right. I don't know what the actual thing he said is.
Oh, okay.
I don't
It
know if
could be
that. I don't
less
think he.
severe than
I think it
that.
was less severe than that. Yes.
Okay.
Right. But he did call him Putin,
All
and
the
then I was
people.
like, oh no.
It's look. We've been talking recently because obviously it's
He said, wait, hold on. He said, he said Zelensky's going to beat President Putin.
okay. Oh,
So
that's not.
focused on
That
beating
is not
Putin,
as
we got to
bad.
worry about it.
That
That's what he
it's
said.
not as bad. He's gonna.
Not as
He's
bad. Still
not
bad. Not as
dragging the
bad.
U.S. into it.
Right, right.
We the U.S. Look, we're sending nuclear. No, never mind.
Right.
So yeah, this is the big deal. This is like all eyes are on this, which is not good to begin with, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that a press conference and whether he can even hold a press conference like the way a person with a functioning brain is like this is the big test of skill for Biden. I mean, obviously that's spelling doom within itself.
Yeah.
So,
I was watching an interview with Karl Rove
mhm.
before this, and he's basically saying that this is devastating. Karl Rove, famous pollster for George W. Bush, the
Named.
one who kind of flipped the script on making it a base election. Like he came up with a strategy that if you turned your base out on the Republican side, you could win. You didn't
Hmm.
necessarily need to appeal to independents, which I think that calculus has kind of changed a bit now. I do think independents are important at this point. But I also saw an article from the New York Post. This quote just jumped right out at me. 85% of Americans said that the 81-year-old was too old to finish a full second term in the Oval
Ooh.
Office. 85%.
Ooh.
What?
Oh my
What?
God.
Isn't that look? And then of a view shared by 81% of would-be Biden voters.
Oh no.
Would-be Biden voters.
No.
What are these people that voted for Biden in the last election? Are like, nah, he's not going to cut it. Look, you're
Hmm.
off the Biden train. You voted for Biden last time around, so
Hmm.
I mean, that's one less vote. Look,
There
it
you
sounds
go.
like Mama Sitch and Papa Sitch are like, I'm not sure about
They're
this.
so like he needs to get out.
Oh,
It's
really?
funny.
Okay. So
Yeah,
they're
like
off the train
without me
too.
having any conversation with them or any influence on them whatsoever, they're like they're just like he needs to drop out. It's over. He needs to get out. He needs to be replaced. They're really big Gretchen Whitmer fans. I've
Oh,
not really
okay.
heard her
I know
speak, so I
nothing about
can't.
her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know anything about her either, so I can't attest. But so, but I mean, I think it seems like it seems like everyone's trying to annoy Kamala, which would be the most likely scenario. But I guess we'll find out what happens.
Yeah. I don't know. If Biden just releases his delegates and it's an open convention, then that spreads the culpability out among a bunch of faceless Democrats, right?
Hmm.
So the way it works is the candidate selects the people that are going to go and cast their ballot for Biden. So these are people they obviously Biden picks
Hmm.
that are loyal to him, right? But if he
Right.
releases them, I mean, these got to be moderate
I would
Democrats, right? And
presumably, yeah.
and they're look, who's going to come after them if they're like, yeah, fuck Kamala Harris? How many is there? There's like 1,000 of them, right? How many
Right, right.
electors? So it's like they spread the blame out over 1,000 people.
Well, it's hilarious because like usually when you get that job, it's just a completely ceremonial like BS job, kind
Well,
of
not this
pointless.
time, not
And
now.
like they never thought in a million years like, oh no, this is gonna be like super important. We've gone back in time to the 70s, baby. It's gonna be crazy, gonna be chaos. People yelling at each other, trying to figure out during this the convention who exactly to nominate. It's gonna be
Yeah,
great.
it's difficult to imagine. I just look, they're under no obligation to vote for Kamala Harris. And
No,
who's going like you said, that it's just basically for all intents and purposes a ceremonial job up until then. So
right.
who's gonna I mean it's not well, I don't know. Maybe some of them are elected representatives that the Democratic Party has some kind of leverage over, right? They're saying, look, we're going to pull money if you don't vote for Kamala Harris. But I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't
Look,
know
I
who
would
these
like to
people
know who
are.
these people are. Yeah, exactly.
Who are Joe Biden's
Some of them have
delegates?
to be like representatives. Like they're like, you're going to be a, because it is a ceremonial thing, but it's like they bestow it
I don't know. I don't know what the
on
rules are.
various
Can it be
Democrats.
anyone? Does it have to be someone not in office? I don't know any of the rules.
I just heard, I just heard Karl Rove mention this process. That's how I know about it.
Yeah, but did he say he didn't say anything about who they were though? I'm
Nope.
assuming. Yeah,
Nope. But
because
he did
I
say that
mhm.
he postulated that they were moderate Democrats because they're Joe Biden supporters.
I would assume that they're like yeah that they're like something like a favor you give to like donors and their friends and stuff is like you get to be a delegate, right?
Yeah,
It's probably something like that.
that's what I would think. Look on
Hmm.
your end outside of the watch together. Make sure this thing's not going off on
It's
another
not going on
channel.
yet. No.
Okay.
I
You
got I
got
already
an
I got that window
oh,
open
you
just in
got another
case.
window open.
I'm
Good.
smart.
Good
I'm
for you.
quick. I'm thinking ahead.
Yeah, we don't want to miss this. This is like
This is history right now. This
this
is the
is like the
night.
this is the season finale of season 1 of Game of Thrones right here. This is what
No, this is episode 9 of Game of Thrones. Okay, we're like they're bringing Joe Biden up to that stage, the
right.
executioner stage at King's Landing.
That's
And
what
you're
I'm
like,
talking about.
uh-oh,
Yeah, that's you guess what scene it is. Maybe I got the
yes,
episode wrong, but that's exactly
yes.
what's going on
And you're
here.
like, oh, you're like,
Ned
okay.
Stark is they're walking him up to the little
Yeah,
platform.
We got Joe Stark up to the platform here. He's gonna make his confession of treason to the crowd. We're gonna see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
The crowd receives the crowd gonna call for blood or mercy. I'm guessing blood.
Are
I
we
think it's
going
gonna
to
be pretty
see
brutal.
Jonestown's level of destruction from the David Pacman crowd? Are they going
I
to be
don't.
passing out the Kool-Aid later tonight?
I mean, like my heart wants it to be a debate level performance, but my brain always tells me to temper. It's like it's like is it could it be that bad? Is it possible for it to be that bad?
Oh, this is what I did on debate night, but like 15 seconds into it, I was like, oh my God.
I know. It's like maybe. Well, I mean, I'm hoping just for like the lulls of it all could be more fun that way. And
Look,
also, I guess
it,
it would make him. It would like if it's that bad as a debate, then he'll be out by next week. If it's
it's,
that
si-
bad,
it's 6:30 at night in Washington, D.C., and
I
Joe
know.
Biden has been asleep since 4. There's no way.
That's even
There's
worse. He'll be like in a fog.
There's no way this is going to be. People are going to be asking him questions and he's
I
supposed to answer.
know.
Look, but you sent me that article earlier today where they were talking about how cabinet meetings were just a farce
Yes, which is insane. Yeah.
cuz I guess they bring cameras into the cabinet meetings, right? For certain things.
No,
So like
I don't. Not usually. I mean, they can, but not
I've
usually.
seen I've seen cameras in cabinet meetings.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
I'm saying they
that's when the
can,
farce
but
is.
but
Yeah.
not normally. Yeah. No, but that article is weird because it made it sound like that they weren't even filming it and the cabinet meetings were a farce. And they're like, who are they doing this for?
Yeah.
That's what was weird about it.
Oh.
Like the article, it was saying that basically the cabinet members were like fed the questions they were going to ask Biden before the cabinet meeting, which is kind of insane. So it's
Yeah.
like, why
It's
would you
all
do
theater.
that? It's like before, it's like okay, but that's the cabinet. Like the whole point is it's supposed to be,
So
the
what are we
whole
doing on Sunday? Anything good?
Sunday we will be talking at first to what's his name? To Hutch and IRI, or not IRI, or I always get them confused. Pandering, pondering,
Pandering.
right? Pondering. We're talking to
Right.
Hutch and pondering, and then for like a couple hours, and then after that, we're talking to Cherry and her co-host, who I'm unfamiliar with, but apparently is a fan of both ours and Destiny. So that's
Oh,
how she
okay.
described him to me.
Look, I mentioned that on the stream, and we had people. I had people on Twitter responding saying, "Yeah, I listen to both you guys."
No, I know yeah, I know
Yeah,
that. But I'm just saying that's how she described it to me. So that'll be fun.
yeah.
It'll be about the drama. I'm sure it'll be about like and it's funny because like this could all go down and like the entire drama could be pointless because it doesn't really matter. That's not-
Which I mean, I
like it
said
could be so
this.
over anyway.
I said this in the threads. I was like, "This is likely all moot." Like, I
Yes,
literally bet $100 that Biden was going down. So I don't think I'm gonna have to vote for Trump because I literally think the Democrats are gonna put someone reasonable up, and it's gonna be
right.
a blowout, and we're gonna have to deal with Trump being upset for time
Hmm.
immemorial, right?
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
another thing. Karl Rove was going through a bunch of poll numbers before the election and like showing Nikki Haley like beating Biden by double digits and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
he was making the argument that Americans want someone new and that whichever party puts up someone new is just going to slaughter. So,
I think, it's funny. It's hilarious that he said that because I was literally thinking the exact same thing. I was
right.
like, yeah, like this could actually be such a like serendipitous event for the Democrats because it could just be like if it was Kamala from the beginning, I think she couldn't. Well, I shouldn't say couldn't. I think it'd be very difficult for her to win against Trump, but possible. But if they just put her in at the last second, like there could be such a oh thank God such a fresh breath of air, even though she's been VP, right? It just seems different, right? Everyone could just be like so excited that they can completely push the momentum in her favor, like very strongly.
Kamala has the disadvantage of she's been VP, so she does kind
Right.
of seem like establishment. It doesn't seem like something new. Like
Yes.
I think
Yes.
Americans want like give us something new.
Right. New,
Right?
new. Right. Something they never heard of.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
Right.
Something fresh.
Right.
Not
Well,
this
are any of these politicians really fresh? I mean,
stale old DEI vice president, right?
hmm no. So I
All
guess we'll find
right.
out.
So obviously Joe Biden
Geez, the longer they hold out here, you think
is
they want him to be out like
struggling
right, immediately. So, every minute's like a minute closer to sundown, right?
struggling to get out of bed here.
Yes.
We've got Joe Biden. Supposedly, I think he was an hour late to the. He was supposed to do like the keynote or something, and he
Hmm.
was an hour late, or not the keynote, but the first introduction at the NATO summit.
Oh, okay.
I saw.
Counterpoints. Look at
Oh,
that.
go
It's
ahead.
counterpoints. 40K joined. Thank you so much, Counterpoints, for joining the Free Will Seekers.
Oh,
Hello.
really?
Yes.
Someone left a comment about counterpoints earlier today, saying it would be pointless for us to debate Connor because I don't know, he's lost his mind or something like that.
That's not what they said.
Yeah, they did. I was like, oh, really?
Oh, no, there's a comment. Oh, someone had a super chat that was like, oh, you should talk to the Counterpoints about the Trump v. Biden thing
Okay.
because, Counterpoints leans more right, but he's a never Trumper or something. That was what the comment was. So
Well, someone left a comment on our last stream saying that it would be pointless to debate Connor.
I said, I
So
like Connor. Connor's great.
yeah, yeah,
No Garmoni for 15 months. Thanks so much. Says my head says S class, but my heart yearns for A team. Wow,
yeah.
terrible. Area.
Yes. Look, they're just. I'm. Everyone's gonna be like, everyone's excited because they're like, oh my god, Adam's gonna vote for Trump, but then I'm likely not gonna vote for Trump. So the hatred will come back from the right.
There you go.
Look, I was telling.
It's funny.
Uh,
Then they'll say like, you were bullied into it by like retards on Twitter. That's what they'll say.
I was bullied into it.
That's what they'll say. They're the
Look,
people on the
I've
right.
I've said there's no way in hell I'm voting for Joe Biden because I think the situation with Joe Biden, it's a completely different threat threat matrix for
Right.
Joe Biden than it is for Donald Trump. So I mean, you're comparing completely different situations. So
Right.
yeah.
Area Captain for $5 says, can't watch live. The stream will get me through the night at work instead. Hope you guys like those shelf shots I sent on Twitter. A team is a team. There you go.
Sweet. Still a team.
Still a
Yes.
team. Lethal Strain for $5. Thank you. Says someone made the point that no one is making the argument that if Biden falters at the election, that Harris can handle the job. I mean, I've heard lots of people make that point. It's not a good point in terms of persuasion.
Well,
Yeah.
and I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, it's just if Biden can't do it, Harris will just make the decisions while Biden, nods out." And I'm like, "You have no idea how government works. The
Right.
vice president is a purely ceremonial role. They in modern times they give the vice president something to do like you're going to be border czar Kamala so that they can increase their profile
Right.
and run whenever the president loses or times out or whatever. So it's ridiculous to think Harris can make decisions for Biden when Biden, I mean, you literally need a 25th Amendment him before she can make any decisions.
Right. Well, and that's like because if Biden was the president, like as he is now, and he becomes incompetent, it's not Kamala that's making decisions. It's like his chief of staff or something that's making decisions, or if it's fucking his wife is making decisions at that point. Like that's the problem. It's
Well,
kind of vague.
through
So
him, I mean, his wife is saying, do this. And he
right.
goes,
Okay.
yeah, he jumps to it.
Yes. He could be being worm tongued by Hunter or his wife or something. So
Yeah. Yeah. So weird. Such a
Christian
weird
Bollock for $2
situation.
says, let's make this a group show. Open the link. For what to watch together? No, what are you talking about? We're not gonna be pausing it. We're just gonna be watching it. So
Oh, really?
yeah, let's watch it through,
Okay.
and then we'll talk about it afterwards. Because I don't think, well, as in to address Dwight Baldwin for $2 says, how long do you predict it'll go today? I think this is only going to be like 20 minutes at maximum, right? It's hard for me to imagine this being like a long press conference.
Is that why he's like, oh, I got here late. I can only stay 5 minutes. One question, please.
I mean, that would be hilarious if that happened. That'd
I
be
mean, this
so
is kind of
funny.
already ridiculous that he's 10 minutes late, but
I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's pretty common for presidents, but
okay.
it's bad for him because of everything that's going on with this. But Ross Ninja for 13 months. Thanks so much. Says poll request: will Biden quit tonight?
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to you have a poll before and after. So Hiding in Dev's car while he moves specifically for $5 says, quote, this was all an extended bit. He's going to come out with a cane and do the tumble from Willy Wonka and will be completely cognizant. Someone coping
Oh,
probably.
I'm glad you ended it with the coping thing.
There you
I
go.
thought you might be coping, but
That would be pretty hilarious. That would be pretty. I mean, that would be, listen, I'd be like, that's the most base thing a president's ever done if that happened.
yeah. What if he does it and breaks his hip?
He does it and dies.
Oh my God. Well, that would be a noble death.
Would it? We have different definitions of noble.
I guess you're right. Uh,
President Biden died doing a somersault on stage.
President Biden died for the country.
He did a somersault and smashed his head on the podium. Oh God.
Uh,
Christian Baller for $2 says Vegas Lions have Kamala to be favorite for the nominee. Yeah, it's not surprising.
yeah.
Dude Guy McPants for $5 says, have you talked about how his team pre-sabotaged his press conference by calling it his big boy press conference?
Did
I
they? I
so I
saw
saw people
headlines.
I
Yeah.
saw people calling that. His team called it that?
Yeah. Well, that is sabotage then.
That yeah, there's 100% sabotage because this is, I think this is what's going on here. This would be my guess. Okay, is that Biden won't quit, and so the pressure's mounting. Because we talked about the George Clooney thing the other day, and some people think that was a much bigger deal than just like a celebrity, because apparently George Clooney is supposed to be sort of like the shadow mouthpiece of Obama or something.
Really? He's
Yeah.
like besties with Obama?
Well, that's what the claim is. I mean, who knows? Who knows this is true?
Right.
But so I wonder if that his staff actually wants him to quit. Everyone wants him to quit, but he won't. And so maybe this is like his staff is basically going to just keep pushing him to do these kind of embarrassing things where he makes a fool of himself until he quits out of shame.
Hmm.
That's
What
my
if
theory.
what if Jill Biden just told him, look, Obama called and he said everyone is going to pressure you to leave, but it's all just for show. They really want you to
Why would
stay
she
in.
say that?
They really want you to stay in.
Why would she say
So
that?
he's behind you 100%.
Why
Why?
would,
So he stays in.
why would they
It's a
want him
best
to stay in?
manipulate. Why would Jill Biden want him to stay
Oh,
in? Because
Jill. I thought you said, oh, okay. I
she
misheard you.
likes the food. I
Right,
don't
right, right,
know.
right.
Supposedly
She's
she's
like
got her
Torben.
own.
She really likes the food. The White House.
No, look. Who knows why? She likes being pampered. She
Right,
likes
right.
being the first lady. She's in a place of honor.
Yeah, of course, of course.
She's the leader of the free world. Of course, she wants to stay in.
hmm
I saw things say that she sits in most of the cabinet meetings and stuff.
I still can't believe they called it the big boy press conference. Like that's like insane.
Yeah,
I mean, that is very clearly they're just fucking with him, right? There's no other explanation for that.
right. Mm-hmm.
Why would you call it that? The big boy press conference. That's like
Right.
when
Yeah.
Jill's like, you did so well, you answered all the questions.
Yeah. You can answer questions.
Oh, is this some kind of like meme? Someone made like a montage of what's the secretary's name? Press secretary? Biden's press secretary. She's got that weird name.
Jean Claude Van Damme Pierre.
Karine Jean-Pierre. There's like
Is
someone made a montage of her saying big boy press conference. So I don't know. Maybe this is like some kind of meme they're talking about. His staff, whoever does the messaging in his staff is shockingly stupid. Or it's to sabotage. At this point, it's got to be to sabotage.
I love living in this timeline. This timeline is so comically ridiculous.
It is. That is. Kai for $5 says Jill and Hunter are not going to let Joe leave the White House willingly. It's going to be a bloody election cycle. Also, feet, please. Ew, no. No feet.
Hmm.
I think they're going to be forced to, but we'll see. Short Stack Goblin for $2 says Biden should come out as trans to save America. I like it. He'd probably mess it up though. He'd come out as like a train. They're like, Biden, you're supposed to come out of trans. They expect him to come out and drag. He comes out as like a train conductor, like the whole outfit.
Ooh, ouch.
Just pisses off everyone. Red 473 for $20. Thank you so much. Says, gentlemen, I don't think Biden will drop. People forget that politics is ego first, ideology second. The infighting between Obama and Biden is proof. It's all just a narcissistic circle jerk. Cynics win every time. I mean, it's definitely egos keeping him in, but I just wonder if he keeps humiliating himself.
He
That's got to be ego destroyer at some point.
he doesn't see the humiliation though.
He does.
No.
Yeah, he's not.
Why would he see it?
He used to. I mean, he used to be like, "Oh, Morning Joe is my favorite show." Blah 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 blah
He
blah.
called in and they sucked his dick.
Yeah, but that was after he watched. Did they? I never listened to the
They
call. How did it
called
go?
supposedly he called in today and they're totally on his side now.
Really? We're gonna have
Yeah.
to watch that because I'm shocked. Because Joe was super hard against him.
Yeah, he was
So
until look, the hit got called in.
I'm sure Biden is insulated to some extent, but I don't. Things break through. He's not President Xi. He's not Putin. You know.
You don't know how dementia works.
Okay. I mean, you're right. If he just has dementia, sure. I don't disagree. But if he comes out and it's just dementia Joe tonight, they're gonna stop. This is what's gonna happen. They're gonna pressure if he does like really poorly tonight, like we all expect. The pressure on him will really ramp up to like 1,000 to drop out. If he doesn't drop out by next week, the pressure will then change from pressuring Biden to pressuring his cabinet to 25th Amendment him.
Ooh,
That's what will happen.
that is a good prediction.
Yeah.
I would like to see that happen.
But I think he'll just drop. If he does really poorly, I think he'll just drop out.
We're gonna 25th Amendment you, Joe.
Yep.
Ooh, that's
Well, they'll tell him that before they're going to say you either drop out or we're going to 25th Amendment you. They'll give him the ultimatum.
Do you think they got the votes to 25th Amendment him?
Oh yeah, who's going to vote to keep him?
I don't know.
The Republicans? That would be so
The Republican. Oh,
devastatingly.
yeah, you guessed it. The Republicans are definitely going to
That
vote
would
to keep him.
actually that backfire so completely on the Republicans and destroy the Republican
You're
Party.
kind of right. They should put the Republicans up to 25th Amendmenting him, huh?
Well, I
Would
think
they
cabinet
suffer
has to
any?
vote, and then the House or somebody has to like sign off on it. I forget the exact procedure, but
Bring up the David Pacman tweet I sent you. We'll listen to this while we're waiting.
okay.
This is always good.
Oh, okay.
You like this one, huh?
This is pretty insane. Yeah.
You think, look, I thought this is definitely somebody clip chimped David Pacman, right? But look, it's the official David
It's
Pacman.
his. Yeah, I know. When I was sent this, I thought like, wait, it's got to be out of context. And I saw, wait a minute, David uploaded this.
I know.
Oh wait. I think it's starting soon. Oh no,
it
never
is?
mind. It's not starting. We can still watch it.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
If President Biden has Parkinson's, so what? It makes no difference to me. It would do nothing to dissuade me from voting for him. The progression of Parkinson's disease and these related Parkinsonian disorders, they really vary, but they are typically slow to progress. In the early stages, the first 3 years, you're talking about stiffness and sometimes mild tremors. Minimal impact on daily activities. Almost everyone in the first 3 years can perform whatever tasks they were previously performing. You then get into the middle years, 3 to 7 years, where symptoms get worse. It can take 15 years to get what would be called late stage Parkinson's. So would it be a big story if the White House were hiding that Joe Biden has Parkinson's? It would. It would. Does it have any bearing on how I would vote in November? Absolutely none. If President Biden...
Okay. Okay, there you have it.
Uh,
And voting for Trump is insane. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, this doesn't matter if he has a degenerative disease. No, and he's 85, dementia. That's part of his.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh. Okay. Look, this is, I mean, we're living in different realities here, definitely. Completely different realities.
That
I
is
mean,
some-
why would you gamble?
Why would you
gamble?
admit that? If you were going to do that, why would you admit it? That is some like grade A embarrassing cope to just admit to the world.
Yeah. Oof. Wow. Okay.
It it's weird. I don't. Why is why isn't David just like really trying to pressure, like just pressure him to back out like everyone else?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm not
People are going through like the 5 stages of grief here with Biden. They're like, there's a lot of people still in denial. The whole thing.
here. It's by our David Pacman is in a weird position because he has been making all of these claims that Trump is unfit because he's having a mental decline, right? But now he's
Mhm.
literally saying, well, the mental decline doesn't matter.
Right.
It's okay. So your entire argument against Trump is basically moot then.
Hmm.
But I think for people in David Pacman's position, I don't know why he just doesn't continue to attack Trump and just say, look, I'm gonna ignore the Biden situation because I'm not sure Biden's gonna be our nominee, right?
Yeah.
So look,
Yeah.
I'll just point out Trump's shortcomings. Keep
Because he's
going
follow
after
I'm assuming
Trump.
he's following the algorithm and views and what the story
Oh,
is,
really?
people. I'm
Okay.
assuming that's what's going on.
He's like, no, he's like, my Trump videos are not making any headway now.
No, because
Everyone's
no one
talking
cares.
about
Yeah.
Biden's degenerative
Of
problems.
course. Of
So
course.
he's making this video just because Biden, like Parkinson's disease, is a key word.
Yes. No, I mean it's smart because he probably, to be real, he probably knows that that video is like retarded and insane, and he just wants to like be the guy who made the insane take first, so he can get like the clicks
Okay.
from like a completely cynical perspective. That's my guess.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. It definitely. I mean, it got a lot of people's attention, but it didn't make much of an impact on the David Pacman show. I don't think that tweet got much traction on his channel.
No.
Nobody
Um,
cares.
Christoph Key for €5 says, even if Biden doesn't quit, Adam and Sitch don't have to vote for Trump. There's always RFK Jr. There you go. Always vote for
Yeah.
RFK, Adam.
Oh yeah. I just look. I'm thinking one of these guys is going to be president. I feel obligated to vote. I feel obligated to play the role of the kingmaker, like I'm always talking about.
There you go.
That's it. I just obviously RFK is down at 10%. He's polling like 10%. So yeah, I don't know. There's something in me that just is like, this is crazy. By this whole Biden has Parkinson's disease and I'm still going to vote for him is just, I mean, that's a level of insanity I never expected.
Hmm.
I just never ever
What if
expected.
it was
So
Michael J. Fox? I mean, I'd vote for him.
no, of
You wouldn't vote
course
for
not.
Michael J. Fox?
Ok-
That's terrible. What's wrong with you?
Don't be funny.
America loves Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, but it's
I
just
mean, I think I don't know, he's Canadian. I guess he can't, I didn't know that. I guess we can't vote for him. How sad.
what do you,
I would have been on board with the Michael J. Fox plan here. Swap him out for Biden,
oh, he's Canadian though. You
but
can't
he's
do it.
Canadian. Yeah, I can't do it. So sad.
Yeah. Well, look, it is a tough decision,
Wait, I just figured it out. You know how they had like the Parkinson's doctor come to like the White House?
right?
Okay. There's a theory. I don't know if you know about this. There's a theory because like sometimes Biden seems more like with it than he does. And I as a normal person think that this is just like an old man having good days, bad days, sundowning, things of that nature. But some people who, believe in more conspiratorial things, thinks that Biden has a body double. And like that the good Biden that you're saying is actually not Biden. It's like a guy with a Biden mask on, right? So I just figured it out. They needed
That's
an actor to play Joe Biden, but they couldn't get someone like too like healthy and young and vital because it'd be too obvious. So they're like, well, we need someone, but they also can't be old because they got to like know lines and be able to perform. Like, who do we know who can kind of like be enfeebled but is also an actor? Michael J.
Michael J. Fox.
Fox.
Yeah.
That's why the Parkinson's doctor came to the White House. It wasn't for Biden, it was for Michael J. Fox when he performs as Biden.
Wow.
Big brain.
You
Figured
really
it all out.
cracked the code
I
here.
did. I did. And
Yeah.
that's why the Bidens are really freaking out is because they've had a Canadian pretend to be president, which sure that's like treason or something.
This is the other Da Vinci Code.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly.
Amazing. Oh,
But
look, the Justice 35 is back. He was throwing shade at us on sometime last. What's he saying here? The Justice 35 for $10 still disagree about Pisco. Well, you can't even type Pisco in. Like you have to like
maybe it's
do
like
Pisco's name weird.
the like maybe because like the piss makes it censored or something.
Still does agree about P8 SCO. But S class is still best class while A team
True.
steals little old lady's mail, throws it in the trash. I mean, doesn't
Wow, Adam.
everybody do that? I thought.
Terrible. Terrible. Oh, what do you mean everybody? Who does that? It's a crazy, that's like a dark
Oh,
triad behavior.
that's not. Oh, I thought that was a thing.
Psycho.
Damn. I got
Okay,
to
so
stop
this press conference being a
projecting.
half an hour late that's not a good sign.
Right.
That's discerning. I mean, it's good for us. Bad for Biden.
Jean Claude Van Damme Pierre is going to come out and say, "Oh, everyone, Biden decided to go to bed. So we're going to have to call this press conference off." But he said, "I dare any of you to run against me."
No, see, this goes with my theory that it's like his staff is trying to sabotage him. Like the staff knows he gets worse and worse the later and later he is. So they're trying to push it back as far as possible.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
They're like setting his watch
Yeah, exactly.
to
Right.
the wrong time.
Right.
When is this Democratic
No, they're like,
National
"Oh, sir, we're gonna
Convention?
take you to the press briefing," and they like walk through the White House and like all the like corridors for like 30 minutes, just going like in all the wrong ways.
So we got Republicans coming up pretty quick here, right? July 15th to July 18th. That's like
Was that
next week, right?
that's the RNC?
Yeah.
Oh wow, so I guess we'll know Trump's he said he's gonna pick his VP, I think, at the RNC, so
Really? Oh,
or announce
nice.
it or something. So
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, my Tim Scott prediction's not looking very good right now. So,
Really?
yeah, everyone's saying Trump is going to pick some crusty old white dude.
Mm.
Terrible decision, but whatever. So, yeah, and then Democrats are August 19th to the 22nd. So, they're like pushing it back as far as they can because they know it's going to be. Look, I think it would be good for them to mix it up, bring a lot of attention to it.
Hmm.
I don't know why people are adverse to that idea.
Because they think that the name recognition is very important, which I understand. I think there's some truth to that.
Right. Nah, I just think it's like people vote on face. Like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
that guy looks like a president.
Sure, sure. Ben for $5 says you guys need Jesse Lee Peterson to come on. Dude is hilarious.
Yeah, I love Jesse Lee
There you go.
Peterson. It'd be great to have him on.
Do you love
I
black
think
people,
he's
Adam?
like, yeah, of course. I think he's like 95 too.
Is he older than Biden? I don't think
Yeah, he is. Isn't that crazy?
it's hilarious.
Look,
I
and he
mean, some
doesn't
people
sundown
just
either.
he's 75, but yeah, some people
Oh, he's
age.
75. Okay,
Yeah, he's a little younger.
but that's
Le
cool. Yeah,
Lethal
you don't
Strain
you
for
don't love black people, Sitch?
I love black people.
Yeah, I love all people
There you go.
except for criminals. Those people we should
Whoa,
hang.
I'm glad. For a second, I was like, whoa.
Right.
I wouldn't use the H word like that though.
What do you mean hang?
Yes, it's a dog whistle, don't you remember?
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Well, they should be beheaded by the sword. How about that? Is that
Okay, I
better?
mean, that's fine, I guess.
We should
Go
chop
for it.
their heads off.
They should they deserve the watch.
They should get the electric chair.
There you
Lethal
go.
injection.
Oh God, why were we so stupid about killing like people in America? I think they just shoot them in the head. We need to come up with the dumbest ways to kill people.
Right.
Like what kind of retard is like, listen, it's not you know, we can't hang people because that's cruel and unusual punishment. How about this? We strap them to a chair and then just keep shoving electricity in their body till they die. Like
Oh,
who
yeah.
came up with that concept? That person must have been a psychopath. And why did we
Yeah.
go along? Why would anyone go along with it? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
They got to put the little wet sponge on their head to attract the electricity to their brain. They're like,
Yes,
we need some electricity up here. This is where all the action is.
it's like the craziest, dumbest idea in the world. Like, how is no one like, whoa, wait a minute. Can we just hang them or shoot them or cut their head off? Like literally anything before you go to electrocute people to death. That's the worst way to do it.
I mean,
Except for just
lethal
like
injection is pretty humane, right? You just put them to sleep first and then stop their heart.
it was when, well, it was supposedly until they couldn't get, remember they couldn't get the drugs for it anymore. And they were trying to
Yeah.
use all these other drugs and it just was like horrific.
They stopped doing it. Yeah. So we've
Which that didn't make
almost
sense to me
12.
either. You can't just put normal drugs in someone to make them fall asleep and then put
Oh,
poison in them or
yeah.
something. Like, come on.
I mean, once they're asleep, I just light them on fire. Who cares?
Or just, yeah, why don't they just put them asleep and then shoot them? Like, I don't know. It's
Just
so,
dump Drano down their gullet.
yeah, there you go. Like, or just give them like like, here's a bottle of sleeping pills. Take it. Like, I don't know. It seems like the dumbest way to do it.
You could drill a hole in their forehead and just dump some acid in there,
Yes.
some
Like,
battery.
literally anything.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
there you go. Give them
this
just,
live stream is getting grim
let
here.
them, let them OD on heroin or something. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Or just put them in a look, put them in the garage with the door down and you just put the car on. Like there's a
Oh
million ways to do
yeah,
this cheaply.
that's a good way. You could just bring like a gas powered lawnmower into that little room.
You just make them sit there with the lawnmower with like a motor on.
Just turn the mower on.
Right.
Yeah, just let it
Because yeah,
roll.
remember they used to do it with a gas chamber, and I don't know what kind of gas it was, but I don't think it was methane. Because like I think it's probably also some gas that like makes you die in some horrific way or something.
Mm.
Like I don't know, it's weird.
Oh, look at this. The Justice 35 for $5 says, I might disagree with y'all, but you're both miles ahead of 99.9% of YouTube political scene. Well,
Well,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Yeah, that
Thank
was
you, Joe.
nice of you to say. So
And also true.
a lot of the argument here seems to be going over people's heads. I don't know how it's so hard to understand that having a brain dead president is a threat to national security. Sitch, is that a tough thing to understand?
No, that's not no, but it's the argument is basically people say that they just so distrustful of Donald Trump, which is understandable, that they trust the black box of
Right.
someone else to run it over Trump.
Right. They're like, Trump is a threat to national security too. Yeah. Hmm.
Lethal Strain for $5 says it's Jill's payment for being Hunter's stepmom all this time and dealing with that dysfunction. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Patrick, a base life for $5 says, excuse me, I sound like Biden. If Jill props Joe Biden up like Weekend at Bernie's tonight and makes his mouth and hands move, I'll vote for him. That shows dedication. There you go.
Oh, yeah. That's what Pacman was saying, basically.
Hmm.
Look, are we even going to get this press conference?
I don't know. It's like,
Sitch was like, hurry up. We want to watch it live. We should start early. This mother.
well, I was like, oh, because I thought we should just talk about it for like 10 minutes first. And, and I was like, oh, maybe it'll be late, but let's not chance it. Whatever.
We can cut all this out of the live stream if
That's
if
true.
this thing actually ever starts.
If it ever starts.
People don't like it when we do that though, because it messes up the live chat replay.
Oh,
But the
really?
live chat replay is in the video anyway, so who cares?
Oh.
Is this thing
Fire-
actually going to get to the end here?
Fire Everything for 23 months says, what if this is an AI version of Joe Biden tonight? Oh, I'd believe it.
Oh
I'd
yeah.
believe that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Fortunately, AI is not that polished yet.
If all of a sudden you have to keep your eyes on Joe Biden's fingers to make sure that they don't mysteriously vanish or melt
yeah.
together.
If he has
tonight.
7 fingers, we know what's going on.
Right. Fondue for $5 says, would it Sitch or would it just be payback for letting the majority leader get ousted by the Republican minority? No, it would be completely devastating to the Republican Party because they've been saying that Joe Biden is enfeebled and out of it and dangerous to America, blah, 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 blah. And it would just be the most open acknowledgement ever that they actually don't care about that. They would prefer America to be in a situation of mass danger, which they've been saying it has been this whole time, just so that they can win an election in a few months.
Now, I
So
would buy that if I hadn't already seen this movie play out with immigration. Because didn't they kill an immigration bill that would have been
that's a
helpful?
little too different though, because this is that they can hide. I mean, they did do that. That they can hide in the murkiness of saying, well, the bill was a bad bill. It's an amnesty bill. You know, they could just make a bunch of shit about the bill, which
Oh,
people
you're
will
right. They
believe.
can't hide in this. They're
There's
like,
nothing. Yeah, there's nothing to hide here.
we
So
think Biden is a great president
yeah,
and he
exactly.
should stay in office.
Right, right.
This 25th Amendment was bad. The way it disrespected the President of the United States.
Yeah, no, it'd be devastating. They would basically be handing the election over to whoever replaces Biden if they did that. It would be a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Uh, Jay for $20. Thanks so much for the $20. Says Pacman belongs in jail. I don't care why. Find a crime. Wow, Jay doesn't like Pacman.
Look, there's a lot of likes on that, too.
There you go.
Oof. You guys, you're out for blood.
I know. People listen. Pacman's just annoying. He doesn't deserve to be in jail. He deserves for us to laugh at him. Actually, someone sent it to me, and thank you. I only watched a little bit of it yet because then this came up. Of Brianna Greyjoy was on
Don
um
Lemon?
Don Lemon, so
Yeah.
see if that was interesting or not. So far, all of her post-firing interviews have been super boring, which is kind of
Hmm.
sad, but for us anyway. TL
Yeah,
one five two
Don Lemon
four.
is pretty boring.
Don
So
Lemon is pretty boring too.
what's he gonna
Though
ask?
we got to see. I'm curious for his I'm curious. Oh, no, it's not starting yet.
Oops, gotcha.
They got
Good
me.
news. Nope, bad news.
Well, I have the AP feed open and like the cameras are on, but
Oh, they are?
nothing's happening though.
Okay, good. Let me
So
know.
I'll let you know. I mean, we're on the official White House thing, so that should,
If we have
you
to,
know.
we'll switch over to the AP then maybe.
Well,
Well, I
it
don't know.
got music on, and I don't know if it's
Oh, yeah, that's
copyrighted
the
and
bad
stuff.
idea.
Yeah, so.
What music do they have?
Well, for a while they had like kind of cool, like sounded like Final Fantasy video game music, but now it's like
Mhm.
elevator music. So it's like it's like
Right.
weird 1950s slash big band slash classical
It's not
music you'd
funeral
expect to
music.
hear in the back of like a Looney Tunes cartoon or something.
What music do they play at funerals?
They got the bagpipes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Or isn't it the bugle? What is that
Uh,
one?
that's the wake up.
No,
No,
there's
they can
like
do the bugle too. Yeah.
they do the bugle at funerals for the like last march or something like that.
Hmm.
That's always sad.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
No, it's gonna start. Where are you going? Oh, Sitch is gone. I guess I'll read a super chat. Where was he at? TL1524 for $10 says, not to start drama. Oh, whenever a super chat begins with not to start drama, that's not a good sign. Anyway, okay, let's continue. Not to start drama, but I watched a 2-hour cope session from Pisco and Pondering
Okay.
about you
Okay.
all today. I'm halfway through a super chat here, so
Okay.
I'm down to one brain cell now because of it. Well, that's not good. Also headed to my pro amateur pool tournament. Wish me luck. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Look,
Oh, nice.
I used to play pool a lot. I don't know. Have you ever gone through a pool phase?
So
Sitch?
when I was young, when I was a wee lad, my parents had they had one of those cool, it was like a pool table that you could like pick up and then flip it around and it'd be like a little like hockey thing.
Oh wow.
But it wasn't
So
like
it's a
air hockey.
regulation pool table. It sounds like.
Well, yeah, well, hold on. But it wasn't like air hockey because it wasn't a motor, so it was just like slidey, so it wasn't as good.
Right.
Um, and yeah, and so yeah, I would really like to play pool with that, except my brother never. So even though I was a younger brother, I was more like coordinated and better at like sports than my brother was. So it'd be like pulling
Ooh,
teeth to get
ouch.
him to like do shit with me. And
Because you'd
so
always beat him? Is that what you're trying to say?
yes, I would always win.
This is
Yes,
the humble brag part of the
this is the
show.
humble brag. Yes. So it's not the humble brag, it's just the brag part. But so anyway, but I would I like to play it a lot. But then I found out to my horror as I got older you were correct. It was not a regulation size pool. It was like a mini pool table.
Yeah, those are
And I was,
easy. Those are fun.
I know, because I remember someone was like, "Oh, we should play pool." I'm like, "Oh, I love pool." And I'm like, "What is this?" Like, the sticks are so much bigger, and the table is so much bigger. I'm like, "Oh my!" And I was so mad. I was like, "Damn it! Why did my
You're
parents screw me like that?"
you're like, this pool is like a Olympic-sized swimming pool. Jesus.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. I was like, all my skills were for nothing. It was all for naught.
It's like when
So
you go to one of those like elementary school basketball courts and you're like, holy shit, I can dunk here.
yeah, right. But
The
when you're a kid,
basket
you
is like
don't
8 foot high.
realize that it's like tiny. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, good luck on your pool tournament. So
Yeah.
I worked at
Awesome.
a pool hall when I worked in New Orleans.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
that's
Oh, that
why,
feels like a very New Orleans thing.
yes, I would watch the pool tournaments because I was bartending. So
Hmm. That's
there's
cool.
basically nothing to do but watch people play pool, and you kind of pick it up just from watching people. You're like, ah, I get this.
This
So
okay. The music on the AP stream is insane. Whoever's doing this is like got to be just fucking with people because they know there's like so many people watching this.
they're doing the bugle march.
Like it sounds like the music you'd expect to hear in a 1940s Robin Hood movie. Like
Right.
it's so ridiculous. This is like insane to me.
They should all be breakup songs. They
I
should
mean,
all be songs about how like it's
you're
over.
right. You're
It's
right. You're right. I mean, I'm assuming this is all copyright free, which is probably why they're playing it. But like this music's like ludicrously ridiculous.
hmm.
They delayed it to 7:30. Oh, is that for real? For real? Like, did they actually say that? Oh my
Oh
God.
my. They first of all, it was supposed to be at 5:30
Oh,
and they
really?
delayed it to 6:30. Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yes.
I didn't know
Now they've
that.
delayed it a full 2 hours.
Oh my God.
Well, at least we have you guys to hang out
Well,
with.
listen, that makes my theory seem even more legitimate. They're just trying to push it back further and further, make Biden worse and worse. They're like, the staff's like, oh wait, Biden's still too like cogent. We got to push it back another hour.
So look, this super chat from TL 1524,
Mhm.
not to start drama, but saying that Pisco and Pondering are having a live stream talking about us and sounding completely silly and incoherent.
Mm. Like
So
Biden?
yeah, yeah. Look,
Zero Fox said it wasn't too bad.
oh, did he?
Yeah.
Well, I believe the super chat.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I believe whoever pays me to believe.
really fighting that grifter charge, aren't I?
Grassroots Hegemon for $5 says we have had good presidents with disabilities, but usually they both didn't start off being retarded. There you
Right.
go. That's true. Okay.
Yes.
Hail the free voice for $5 says hey guys, much love. If Biden does drop out tonight and Kamala also drops, who do you think will step up? David Cuckman? Well, I don't think so.
David Cook.
I mean, I don't think whatever happens, Biden's not gonna drop out tonight. If he performs, I mean, unless he just dies. If he performs really poorly, um, then they'll scramble over the weekend. That's part of why they did this on Thursday, I think, is if he did do poorly, they're gonna have a weekend to like plan some kind of way in which he'll drop out for next week. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
You got Whitmer, you got Westmore, you got Gavin Newsom. Those seem to be the three names you hear everyone kind of throw around the mill. So.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Hiding in Dev's car while he moves specifically for $2 says Edison to discredit AC made the chair. I wouldn't.
Yeah. I
Is
remember
that
that.
actually true? I wouldn't be
Yes.
surprised if
I
that was
remember
true.
hearing that. Yeah.
I mean, he
'Cause
didn't make it to. Did he make it for the intention of killing prisoners?
no, he made it because he wanted alternating current to seem dangerous to people because he was competing against who was he competing against?
Tesla.
Okay. I don't think he was.
No,
I
he
thought
100% was. I know about this. Yes.
I thought Tesla was working for Edison.
Well, no. So what happened? So Tesla came up with AC, which is alternating current, which is what we use.
Right. Yes.
And Edison was using direct current, which is like 1,000 times more dangerous, apparently. And Tesla tried to sell Edison on this, and Edison's like, oh, if you like rig up my, base or factory or something with your AC, current or whatever, I'll hire you. And he did it. And then Edison like was like, I was just joking. I didn't mean for you to actually do it. I'm not paying you. And Tesla was like, what the fuck? And so that kind of started their rivalry after that. And then obviously Tesla won with the AC. Thomas Edison was like a huge piece of shit. So
Tesla did work for Edison though. It's in
yeah, he did briefly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Was it briefly? I mean, Edison basically I know the story because it's in 48 Laws of Power where Edison Tesla was introduced to Edison by a friend and Edison offered him like a $50,000 bonus if he could make these I think it was transistors more efficient.
Hmm.
And Tesla worked on it like crazy. And once he finally finished it and made all these improvements, Edison told him, "Oh yeah, you don't understand our American sense of humor. Like that 50,000 was just a joke. I was just kidding with you."
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm
And
mixing together that story with what you're
he
talking about.
never
Yeah.
gave him the money. Yeah.
Hmm.
Edison made a lifelong career of like stealing from Tesla.
Right.
Yeah, Tesla got super pissed off. I guess some institution offered him a medal or some kind of ribbon, something like that, and he completely got pissed off and was like,
Hmm.
"This is bullshit. Like I've done
Right.
so much for science, and all you guys are doing is offering me this stupid pendant."
Hmm. Interesting. I know that like Edison would electrocute animals and shit to be like, look how dangerous alternating current is. Let me electrocute it like an elephant. Like stupid, like crazy shit like that. It's like,
Right.
oh, okay, great.
I think it was Westinghouse that he was competing with. Anyway, John
Anyways,
the Beard for 2 CHFs says
Biden bad,
Biden
Trump
bad.
bad. Why not RFK Jr.?
RFK Jr. has no chance of winning. It's like, okay,
Right.
yeah. If I'm going to vote for someone who has no chance of winning, I'm going to vote for Kanye.
Hmm. This next super chat, I can't tell if it's like a meme or not.
No, it's great. Read it. I was
Reality Hijack
laughing.
for $5 says Adam voted for Trump and promoted the stolen election. Before he pussied out to all the liberals he's surrounded by, now he denies it all. Pathetic.
It's got to be.
That's got
It's
to be a
got to
meme,
be a
right? I
meme.
mean, because
Yeah.
like the only part of that that's true is that you voted for Trump.
I never voted for Trump. I voted for Kanye. What are
Oh,
you
that's
talking
right. What am I
about?
saying? Yeah,
I didn't
you're
vote for
right.
Trump.
You
Yeah.
voted for Kanye. That's true.
I voted
So
for
no part of
Kanye.
that statement.
Look, if you're going to vote for the Nazi and you got two, you've got Trump and Kanye. I'm going to vote for the real Nazi. Okay.
You're gonna vote for the black Nazi. That way, no one could say you're racist.
Yeah, of course. Take that.
There you go. Okay. Hiding in Dev's car while he moves specifically for Taylor says, poll, snoo legal execution method under the Eighth Amendment. There you go. It's a good poll question. Grassroots Hegemon for $5 says, it's a tough question. Bullets are expensive. Electric chairs, no, they're not. Electric chairs are a bit much. Shovels are cheap and reusable. Dozens of use cases such. Shovel is greater than chair. Wow, terrible. Terrible.
Are you you're talking just burying them alive?
Or just beating them to death with a shovel.
Oh yeah. Can
I
do that.
guess. I mean, you could just beat someone up with anything. So,
They had that guillotine for a while.
I mean, that's
But
kind of just like a big shovel if you think about it, that you make really sharp.
I heard that with the guillotine, 1 in 10 heads are actually they live for some period of time before the lights go out. That the
How
like the
I don't know if
Roman
they
soldiers.
live. There's probably some like it twitches, like
Is it
twitching
Rome?
and shit.
When did they do the guillotine? It was like
No,
the
that was like
French
France.
Revolution,
Yeah, French
right?
Revolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the French soldiers would run up to the baskets and pull the heads out to stare them in the eyes to see which ones were still
They would try to
alive.
talk to them. You'd be like, okay, there's like a little quiz inside of the basket. Want you to see if you could speak the. I mean, first of all, you couldn't speak because you don't. There's no air. I mean, you
No
can't.
vocal cords, yeah.
Right. Yeah. That no vocal cords. Yeah.
But look,
I
they'd look for evidence of life.
I guess you could maybe live Like from your perspective for like a second. I mean, it probably a very short amount of time.
No way. They'd take the heads out of the basket and stare them in the eyes. They'd be like, "Are you still alive? Is this one still alive? Is this one
Yeah, that's what I'm
still alive?"
saying. It could probably like twitch or something. Like the neurons are making it, the electricity in the brain is still like making it twitch. People are like, oh, it's alive, you know?
They lip. Fuck you.
Yeah, that'd be impressive, man.
Ah, that would be good. That'd be
Uh,
great.
Rex Vecta for $5 says, quote, big boy press conference is such a stupid, insane thing to call this. I'm almost expect Trump to walk out instead of Biden and tell everybody daddy's home.
Oh my.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
That is good.
A-Team Frostback for 7 Canadian. It says, hey, Adam, maybe it's time to get aristocracy back. She saw her streaming again. Here she's single now. Giggity, giggity. Is
Oh,
she? I thought she
okay.
was like married or something.
I like that giggity giggity.
But Adam is married. What do you mean?
It's for you
Oh,
dumbass.
oh, oh, oh. For me.
Yeah.
Oh, terrible.
Aristocracy. Everyone's trying to set you up with a Jewish
That's true.
princess.
That's true.
So
Bacon.
you can keep it in the tribe.
There you go. Bacon Vor for 9 months says, y'all remember when Bernie did a live stream and his starting soon music was the Soviet national anthem? No
What?
fucking way. That didn't happen, did it? That happened. When did that happen? That's insane.
Bernie, that's a little too on the nose.
Yeah, come on. Come on. Lethal Strain for $5. Whoops. Press the wrong button.
Oh no.
Hold on. Okay.
Sitch deleted the stream.
I did. Oh, I saw you brought Farnsworth up. Lethal Strain for $5
Good
says,
news.
yes. Biden is just having a hard time trying to find what can be unburdened by what has been.
Oh no. That's a famous Kamala line, right?
Right. Yes. Just
Kamala?
keep saying it. Yeah.
Is it Kamala or Kamala?
Who knows? I guess we're gonna find out. But
Supposedly you're a racist if you don't already know.
oh, okay. Emperor Dumb for $5 says pondering shills for Sleepy Joe harder than OnlyFans subscribers. Wow.
Really?
Terrible.
Really?
He has an OnlyFans?
Is that what was going on?
I don't know.
A lot of shilling?
Hiding in Dev's car while he moves specifically for $5 says the story of the current wars and its participants is more nuanced than the common legends and media portrays.
Right.
There you go.
Does that have to do with what Biden's flubbed introduction about Putin?
I don't
Here
know
we
what that's a
are.
reference to. Oh, current, like talking about the Tesla Edison AC direct current. Current, not like current, like the existing wars. Gotcha.
Oh, I get it.
Coding Jesus for 11 months says, what do you think JFK's impact on the election will be? Will Dems blame him for a loss if they lose similar to them blaming Jill Stein in 2016? Yeah, I mean, I mean, that's what will be interesting because we'll look at the polling and see who he pulls away from more. It's not exactly clear who that will be, but
People
yeah,
are saying it's going to be split though, and therefore pretty
it might
inconsequential.
be a wash, right?
Yeah.
But they'll blame him regardless. So
yeah.
whoever loses will blame him. And they'll also blame, if the Democrat loses, we'll blame Biden for not dropping out when he should have.
Sitch is going to write in Vivek. That's who he really
Ew. Terrible.
That's who we really. Remember when Destiny thought we were Vivek supporters?
That was weird. Squeeze Louise for $10 says the last guillotine was in the 70s. Heads live for a few seconds. Wow. Well,
Look at
go.
this. Someone
Gross.
knows the lore. Just think, you could be headless or bodiless. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
bodiless
I guess you're bodiless. You're not really headless.
for a couple seconds.
Right.
Yeah. You get last words in.
Except you can't talk.
Well, look, you can move your lips.
What if they're gonna
Everyone
like
knows fuck you. Come on, everyone knows that.
now see what they're gonna do? They're gonna have to put like the little Neuralink in your brain so you can control the thing, and then they cut your head off to see if you can like type something in real quick before you die.
Hmm.
Ben
Yeah.
for $5 says if most people wrote the same name of someone not running for president, what happens? I mean, that person wins. I guess.
Yeah. Write-in candidate. What? But what if
Brian,
the
the
person is like Darth Vader or something? Then what do they do?
Well, that's a good question. Then I guess then America puts on a clown nose. We have James Earl Jones dress up like Darth Vader and he becomes the president. That'd be pretty hilarious, actually.
I think a substantial number of people write in like Mickey Mouse every election.
Yeah, there's like I forget, there's a list of like the 7 most
Right.
written in names, and they're all like goofy names. Brent Mosey for 250 D slashes says they just need to put, quote, "I'm stepping down for realsies" on the teleprompter, problem solved. That's true. That's a good point. They just have to like trick Biden into saying it. Yeah. No takes backsies. Zero Flux says, in Pondering's chat yesterday, somebody thought you guys were election deniers. Like, so stupid.
Election deniers,
Oh
huh?
my
Yeah, look,
God.
none of these people, they don't know.
Right. I know.
Look, and Destiny made this so much worse because he basically has been saying forever that he has a spiel that he gives about how, unfortunately, when you meet somebody and you hear one of their political positions, you really know all of their political positions, right?
Mhm.
Which, I mean, that can be the case for a lot of NPCs, right? That just take all the political positions at once. But I don't think you should use that philosophy with people that you just meet, right?
Well, it's funny. It wasn't the other day. It was like a few weeks ago. Um, I don't remember why I was what the topic was, but he was going through. Oh, I think it was in regards to the immunity case, and he was going through the exact specifics of the like the fake electors thing and like how it would work. And someone in the chat was like, "How come no one's ever like explained this all before?" And he's like, "Oh, because no one cares, blah 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 blah." And I'm like, we've been explaining that for like 4 years. I even said it in the conversation to Destiny that we had about that topic. So it's just
Right.
like, I don't know. It's very silly.
The Electra scam.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we went over, I mean, it all came out in the January 6th hearings,
right,
which we covered.
right.
Yeah.
'Cause he said supposedly he's going to be on Tim Pool soon, and he said that all he was going to do is just bring up the electors scam. I'm like, okay. I mean, good. I don't think you're going to get anywhere with that, but good luck.
We watched the video of the dude trying to slip the electors to Mike Pence and him like
Just
turning
saying
him
no.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
I mean, how many different
That
ways
was
do we
like
have to cover this shit?
that was like 4 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Eh,
Let's see. Fondue Fried Hour says, by the way, my take is Pisco is completely wrong. A true centrist would write in the mustache man for being both a Nazi and a corpse. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Grassroots Hegemon for $5 says Biden should just try to be funnier than Trump now. Just have him go up on the stage, pull down his pants, call everyone the C word. 47 states easily.
Ooh, that's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yes.
Let's see if it pays off.
Oh, wait. What the fuck?
Is it? Are we close? I mean, we are at the 1 hour late mark. Oh, what's that?
Wait, what? Why is it not? Oh my God. Hold on.
Oh, there's music.
Yeah.
We will resume shortly.
Okay, hold on. Okay. Is it working for you?
Well, good evening. There's NATO summit and the consensus among NATO summit and the consensus among it's especially momentous because it represented the important military defense alliance in the world.
Skipping, so
military defense and
let's back it up a little bit and see.
Wait.
Well, it's skipping. I mean, it's just...
I understand, but like, okay, wait, hold on. We might just have to do like a second window.
Okay.
But because these things always get freaky with the. All right, give me 1 second here. 1 second, folks.
this
All right.
worked because
What do you mean a second window?
Distinguished guests.
Okay, here we go.
The President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Look, we got a little interpreter guy too.
Here we go.
everybody. Thank you. Please be seated.
Oh my God.
Well, good evening. We just concluded this year's NATO summit, and the consensus among the members was it was a great success. It's especially momentous because it represented the 75th year the most important military defense alliance in the world's history of the world. We should never forget that NATO grew out of the wreckage of World War II, the most destructive war in history. The idea was to create an alliance of free and democratic nations that would commit themselves to a compact of collective defense. Standing together, they knew we'd all be safer. An attack on one would be treated as an attack on all. And it's worked because a would-be aggressor knows if they attack one of us, they'll be attacked by all of us. Sending that message is the best way to deter aggression and prevent wars in the first place. For those who thought NATO's time had passed, they got a rude awakening when Putin invaded Ukraine. Some of the oldest and deepest fears in Europe roared back to life because once again, a murderous madman was on the march. But this time, no one cowered in appeasement, especially the United States. We collected intelligence that Russia was planning to invade Ukraine months before the invasion. I directed the intelligence community to be a significant amount of intelligence be declassified so I could start building an international coalition to oppose the invasion. Then in February, some of you remember, I warned the world that the invasion was imminent. I rallied a coalition of 50 nations from Europe to Asia to help Ukraine defend itself. Many foreign policy experts thought, as Putin amassed Russian forces just 100 miles north of Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, but Putin thought it was the mother home of Russia. The capital would fall in less than a week. But the Ukrainian people, backed by a coalition to help build, stopped them. Today, Kyiv still stands, and NATO stands stronger than it has ever been. During the week of this summit, several heads of states made it a point in their statements to thank the United States and to thank me personally for all that NATO has achieved. NATO is not only stronger, NATO is bigger because we led the charge to bring in Finland and Sweden into the alliance, and it makes a gigantic difference. Excuse me. Meanwhile, my predecessor has made it clear he has no commitment to NATO. He's made it clear that he would feel no obligation to honor Article 5. He's already told Putin, and I quote, "Do whatever the hell you want." In fact, the day after Putin invaded Ukraine, here's what he said. It was genius. It was wonderful. Some of you forgot that, but that's exactly what he said. But I made it clear, a strong NATO is essential to American security. And I believe the obligation of Article 5 is sacred. And I would remind all Americans, Article 5 is invoked only once in NATO's long history, and that was to defend America after 9/11. I made it clear that I will not bow down to Putin. I will not walk away from Ukraine. I will keep NATO strong. That's exactly what we did, and exactly what we'll continue to do. Now, the future of American policy is up to the American people. This is much more than a political question. It's more than that. It's a national security issue. Don't reduce this to the usual testament that people talk about, issues of being a political campaign. It's far too important. It's about the world we live in for decades to come. Every American must ask herself or himself, is the world safer with NATO? Are you safer? Is your family safer? I believe the American people know the answer to all those questions is yes. And I believe the American people understand that America is stronger because of our alliances. I believe the American consensus from Truman to Reagan to me still holds today. America cannot retreat from the world. We must lead the world. We're an indispensable nation, as Madeleine Albright wrote. Now let me turn to three other key issues. Just this morning, we had a great economic report showing inflation is down. Overall prices fell last month. Core inflation is the lowest it's been in 3 years. Prices are falling for cars, appliances, and airfares. Grocery prices have fallen since the start of the year. We're going to keep working to take down corporate greed to bring those prices down further. Meanwhile, Trump's calling for a 10% tariff on everything Americans buy, including food from overseas, vegetables, and other necessities. And economists tell us that would cost the average American working family another $2,500 a year. It's a tax of $2,500 a year. Second, our efforts to secure the border, southern border, is working. After Trump killed the bipartisan effort to secure the border, Republicans and Democrats had worked on, because he thought it would benefit me and make him a loser, Republicans walked away. So I took executive action last month. As a consequence, working with Mexico, border encounters have gone down over 50%. The current level is lower today than when Trump left office. Third, for months, the United States has been working to secure a ceasefire in Gaza, to bring the hostages home, to create a path for peace and stability in the Middle East. 6 weeks ago, I laid out a detailed plan in writing. It was endorsed by the UN Security Council, the G7. That framework is now agreed on by both Israel and Hamas. So I sent my team to the region to hammer out the details. These are difficult, complex issues. There's still gaps to close, but we're making progress. The trend is positive, and I'm determined to get this deal done and bring an end to this war, which should end now. Let me conclude where I began. We're the United States of America. We are the indispensable nation. Our leadership matters. Our partnerships matter. This moment matters. We must rise to meet it. With that, I'll take your questions. I've been given a list of people to call on here.
What?
Reuters, Jeff Mason.
Mr. President, your political future has hung over the NATO summit a little bit this week. Speaker Pelosi made a point of suggesting that your decision on whether to stay in the race was still open. George Clooney and a handful of lawmakers have called on you to step aside. Reuters is reporting tonight that UAW leadership is concerned about your ability to win.
UAW just endorsed me, but go ahead.
Thank you. My question for you is, how are you incorporating these developments into your decision to stay? And separately, what concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president because I think she was not qualified to be president. No. So let's start there. Number one. The fact is that the consideration is that I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president. I beat him once, and I will beat him again. Secondly, the idea, I served in the Senate a long time. The idea that senators and congressmen running for office worry about the ticket is not unusual. And I might add, there are at least 5 presidents running or incumbent presidents who had lower numbers than I have now, later in the campaign. So there's a long way to go in this campaign. And so I'm just going to keep moving. And because, look, I got more work to do. We've got more work to finish. There's so much, we made so much progress. Think about it. Think about where we are economically relative to the rest of the world. Name me a world leader who wouldn't want to trade places with our economy. We've created over 800,000 manufacturing jobs, 1.5 million jobs. So things are moving. We got more to go. Working class people still need help. Corporate greed is still at large. Their prices, the corporate profits have doubled since the pandemic. They're coming down. And so I'm optimistic about where things are going. Danny Kemp, AFP.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to ask you about you mixed up President Zelensky and Putin earlier today. And you now have sort of your key allies, including the British Prime Minister, the President of France, and the German Chancellor having to step in and make excuses for you on that. And officials here are saying off the record that your decline has become noticeable. Hasn't this now, frankly, become damaging for America's standing in the world? Thank you.
Did you see any damage to our standing in my leading this conference? Have you seen a more successful conference? What do you think? And the Putin piece, I was talking about Putin, and I said, and now, at the very end, I said, here, I mean, Putin. I said, oh, no, I'm sorry, Zelensky. And then I added 5 other names. Look, guys, the idea anybody suggests that we haven't had an incredibly successful conference. How many times did you hear in that conference, I know it sounds too self-serving, but other leaders, heads of state, in thanking me, saying the reason we're together is because of Biden, because Biden did the following. Look, folks, this is, well, anyway, I thought it was the most successful conference I've attended in a long time, and find me a world leader who didn't think it was. Next one, Nancy Cordes, CBS.
Thank you, Mr. President. You mentioned other instances in history where presidents have faced a challenge, but what makes this moment in history so unique is that it is not your enemies who are calling on you to reconsider your decision to stay in the race. It's your friends, supporters, people who think you've done a great job over the past 4 years. Have you spent time thinking about what it would mean for your legacy, which you've worked decades to build, if you stay in the race, despite the concerns that voters say they have, and you lose to someone who you yourself have argued is unfit to return to the Oval Office?
Well, look, I'm not in this for my legacy. I'm in this to complete the job I started. As you recall, understandably, many of you and many economists thought my initial initiatives that I put forward, can't do that, it's going to cause inflation, things are going to skyrocket, the debt's going to go up. What are you hearing now from mainstream economists? 16 economic Nobel laureates said I've done a hell of a job. That under my plans so far and what's going to happen in the future if I'm reelected, that things are going to get much better. Our economy is growing. I was determined when I got elected to stop the trickle-down economic theory, that if the wealthy did very well, everybody else would do well. My dad was a well-read, decent guy. I don't remember much trickling down on his kitchen table. Middle-class people and working-class people need help. And so what happened is I decided to was able to implement as president what I believed when I was a senator. And that is that the way to build this economy is from the middle out and the bottom up. That way we grow the economy. And the wealthy still do very well. They do fine. And guess what? Find me an economist, a mainstream economist who said we haven't done well. What have we not done that isn't working right now? And so we got more to do, though. We got to finish the job. And by the way, I come from the corporate state of the world. Delaware has more corporations registered in Delaware than every other state in the nation combined. I'm not anti-corporate, but corporate profits have doubled since the pandemic. Doubled. It's time things get back in order a little bit. It's time, for example, if I'm reelected, we're going to make sure that rents are kept at 5% increase of corporate rents for apartments and the like and homes are limited to 5%. We're going to make a lot of changes that I've been talking about because we're going to continue to grow this economy. And by the way, I know, remember how I got so roundly criticized for being so pro-union, not labor, union. Well, guess what? I've been the most pro-union labor president in history. Not a joke. And guess what? We had the Treasury Department do a study. When unions do better, everybody does better. Everybody does better. And we talk about how, for example, remember when we talked about getting the computer chip industry back in the United States? Used to be 40% of the industry. We invented the chip. 40% of the industry was in the United States. And former presidents decided that the best way to do it is find the cheapest labor in the world, send the product over there, and import what the product was. And so what did I do? I was told not to go over to to Asia, including Europe, but Asia. And I remember going to South Korea, convincing them to invest $20 billion in the United States to build computer chip factories. And I asked why when they finally decided to do it. And the answer was because you have the safest economy in the world and you have the best workers in the world. So the whole idea here is we've invested, there's over $50 billion in investment in computer chip manufacturing just coming into being. None of you thought that would happen. None of you thought that would happen. But it's happening. It's happening. And it's going to grow economies. All through, and by the way, red states and blue states. Matter of fact, there's as much in red states as blue states. I've made no distinction. So my generic point is that the idea that we can't continue to build and grow the economy, make it fairer. And like I said, from my standpoint, when the middle class does well, that's when the whole economy grows. The poor have a shot, the wealthy do well. But the wealthy got to start paying their taxes.
As a follow-up, sir, you mentioned that your Vice President Kamala Harris would be ready to serve on day one. Can you elaborate on that? What is it about her attributes and her accomplishments over the last 4 years that make her ready to serve on day one if necessary?
First of all, the way she's handled the issue of freedom of women's bodies to have control over their bodies. Secondly, her ability to handle almost any issue on the board. This was a hell of a prosecutor. She was a first-rate person, and in the Senate, she was really good. I wouldn't have picked her unless I thought she was qualified to be president. From the very beginning, I made no bones about that. She is qualified to be president. That's why I picked her. Felicia Schwartz, Financial Times.
Thank you, Mr. President. Presidency is the most straining job in the world, and it's 24/7. How can you say you'll be up for that next year, in 2 years, in 4 years, given the limits you've acknowledged that you have today?
The limits I've acknowledged I have?
There's been reporting that you've acknowledged that you need to go to bed earlier and your evening around 8.
That's not true. Look, what I said was, instead of my every day starting at 7 and going to bed at midnight, it'd be smarter for me to pace myself a little more. And I said, for example, the 8, 7, 6 stuff, instead of starting the fundraiser at 9 o'clock, start at 8 o'clock. People get to go home by 10 o'clock. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, and if you looked at my schedule since I made that stupid mistake in the campaign, in the debate, I mean, my schedule has been full bore. I've done, where's Trump been? Riding around in his golf cart, filling out his scorecard before he hits the ball? I mean, look, he's done virtually nothing. And I have, I don't know how many, don't hold me to it, roughly 20 major events. Some of them with thousands of people showing up. And so I just think it's better. I always have an inclination, whether I was playing sports or doing politics, just to keep going, not stop. I just got to just pace myself a little more. Pace myself. And the next debate, I'm not going to be traveling into 15 time zones a week before. Anyway, that's what it was about. That's what it was about. And by the way, even with that, I love my staff, but they add things all the time. At the very end, I'm catching hell from my wife for that. Anyway, I'm sorry. Zeke Miller, Associated Press.
Thank you, Mr. President. 2 questions for you. First, on the NATO summit, President Zelensky, in your meeting with him, he pressed you to lift your limitations on the Ukrainian use of American weapons, saying that, in his public remarks afterwards, saying that Ukraine cannot win the war unless those limitations are lifted. Are you reconsidering your position on that? And then secondly, following up on Felicia's question there, leaders of your own party have said that they're not worried about that debate. They're worried about the next bad night and the bad night after that. How can you reassure the American people that you are up to the task and that there won't be more bad nights at a debate stage or somewhere else?
First thing about Zelensky asking for the ability to strike deep into Russia. We've allowed Zelensky to use American weapons in the near term, in the near or abroad, into Russia. Whether or not he should be attacked. For example, should Zelensky, he's not, but if he had the capacity to strike Moscow, strike the Kremlin, would that make sense? It wouldn't. The question is, what's the best use of the weaponry he has, and the weaponry we're getting to him? I've gotten a more long-range capacity, as well as defensive capacity. And so our military is where I'm following the advice of my commander-in-chief, the chief of staff of the military, as well as the Secretary of Defense and our intelligence people. And we're making a day-to-day basis on what they should and shouldn't go, how far they should go in. That's a logical thing to do. Second question related to
bad nights, sir. How can you reassure the American people that you won't have more bad nights, whether they be on a debate stage or it's a matter of foreign policy?
Well, I tell you what, the best way to assure them is the way I assure myself. And that is, am I getting the job done? Am I getting the job done? Can you name me somebody who's gotten more major piece of legislation passed in 3.5 years? I created 2,000 jobs just last week. So if I slow down, I can't get the job done. That's a sign that I shouldn't be doing it. But there's no indication of that yet. None. What do we got here? Merrick, Pulaski Radio.
Thank you, Mr. President. How are you?
I'm well.
The elections in the US have consequences around the world. You have pretty high standing in Europe. I just asked President Macron about you, and he said we are happy to have him as the President of the United States. But there is a concern. Many people in Poland and across Europe are worried that the former president may win the election. And there's a lot of concern that Donald Trump may weaken NATO, stop supporting Ukraine, or push Ukraine to give up territories to Russia.
They're correct.
And yourself was warning just 2 minutes ago about it. So my question is, do you think that Europe will be left on its own if Donald Trump wins the election? And what's your advice to European leaders to prepare for possible US disengagement?
Well, look, I think, how can I say this without sounding too self-serving? I'm not having any of my European allies come up to me and say, Joe, don't run. What I hear them say is, you've got to win. You can't let this guy come forward. It'd be a disaster. It'd be a disaster. I mean, I think he said in one of his rallies, don't hold me to this, recently, where NATO, I just learned about NATO or something to that effect. Foreign policy has never been his strong point. And he seems to have an affinity to people who are authoritarian. That worries, as I tell you from Poland, that worries Europe. That worries Poland. And nobody, including the people of Poland, think that if he wins in Ukraine, he's going to stop in Ukraine, that that's going to be the end of it. And so What I can say is, I think I'm the best qualified person to do the job, to make sure that Ukraine does not fall, that Ukraine succeeds, that the European alliance stays strong. You may recall, no one was talking about Finland joining NATO. I remember talking to Putin right after we got elected in Geneva, and he was talking about what we should do. We couldn't be in Eastern Europe, etc. And I said, you're looking for the Finlandization of Ukraine. I said, you're going to get the NATOization of Finland. And about 4 weeks later, I got a call. No, that's not true. Probably 5 months later, from the president of Finland, could he come and see me? In my office, I invited him to the Oval Office. We sat down and talked. He said he wanted to join NATO. Could I help? And I did. It wasn't automatic. And then I got a call from the Swedes. I beg your pardon? And so Finland joined NATO. 800-mile border is a significant, and they were already allies, but they weren't part of NATO. And you heard, I think you heard, maybe, I can't recall whether he said it publicly or in a closed meeting, but he wouldn't mind it being repeated. He said, we decided in Finland, the people of Finland decided they had to be part of NATO. It was in our interest because of the joint ability to be together, to dissuade any attack on Finland. And the same thing with Sweden. It took a lot of selling to some folks, particularly in Turkey and other places, to agree to the expansion. But it expanded. And we're a hell of a lot stronger because of it. We're more secure because of it. And by the way, I was able to get 50 other nations, 50, to support Ukraine. 50. And we were able to bring about a coalition of Europe and Asia, Japan and South Korea. I just we talked about AUKUS, and we talked about the relationship between Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, the United States. We're making the world safer and stronger because we have to deal with the new arrangement that exists in the world. The Cold War is over. The post-war era is over. What is going to replace it? And I respectfully suggest I have a pretty good idea what that should be. I've convinced a lot of people to follow it, and we're just going to get stronger. David Sanger. Where's it?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Be nice, David.
Mr. President, the NATO declaration that was issued yesterday was very notable because it described China as a decisive enabler of the war in Ukraine for its provision of critical goods to the Russians. That's part of a broader partnership that seems to have cemented in place in the past 2 or 3 years. I think one that you were a little bit doubtful of when we asked you about it some time ago. So I'd be interested to know whether you have a strategy now of trying to interrupt the partnership between China and Russia, and whether or not in a second term you would pursue that, if you could describe that strategy to us. And along the way, could you also tell us whether you think, just to follow up on Felicia's question, that if you were in a room with Vladimir Putin again, the way you were 3 years ago, or with President Xi, that a few years from now you will be able to go negotiate with them, handle them one-on-one?
Well, the first part of the question is, we discussed and I raised in the NATO summit, and others raised, the future of China's involvement, what they're going to do. What they're doing with Russia in terms of accommodating, facilitating, they're getting access to additional, they're not supplying weapons themselves, they're supplying mechanisms for them to be able to get weapons. And China's position is basically, and I've spent more time with Xi Jinping than any world leader has, over 90 hours since being vice president all the way through, for real. And by the way, I handed all my notes. But my point is that she believes that China is a large enough market that they can entice any country, including European countries, to invest there in return for commitments from Europe to do A, B, C, or D, or not to do certain things. What's happened is we had a long discussion about what we have to make clear. China has to understand that if they are supplying Russia with information and capacity, along with working with North Korea and others to help Russia in armament, that they're not going to benefit economically as a consequence of that by getting the kind of investment they're looking for. And so, for example, we're in a situation where we've reestablished direct contact with China after that. Remember the balloon, quote unquote, going down, and all of a sudden things came to an end? Well, we set up a new mechanism. There's a direct line between Xi and me, and our military has direct access to one another, and they contact one another when we have problems. The issue is that we have to make sure that Xi understands there's a price to pay for undercutting both the Pacific Basin as well as Europe, and as it relates to Russia and dealing with Ukraine. And so for example, if you want to invest in China, as you know this area really well, if you want to invest in China, you have to have a 51% Chinese owner. You have to make sure that you do by their rules, and you don't have the authority, and that you have to provide all access to all the data and information you have. There was a while there, as you recall, the last administration and other administrations, where the access to that market was enticing enough to get companies to come in because they had access to over 1 billion people in the market, not 1 billion, but a lot of people in the market. And so they were doing it. But that got curtailed when we started saying we're going to play by the same rules. For example, the idea they don't abide by the international rules related to subsidizing products by the government funding. So guess what? They're not going to be able to export their electric vehicles to the United States without a significant tariff. Others are doing the same thing around the world. But it is a concern. It is a concern that you have both China, North Korea, Russia, Iran, countries that are not necessarily coordinated in the past, looking to figure out how they can have impact.
Do you have a strategy to interrupt that impact?
Yes, I do, but I'm not prepared to talk about the detail of it in public. And I think you'll see that some of our European friends are going to be curtailing their investment in Russia. In China, as long as China continues to have this indirect help to Russia in terms of being able to help their economy as well as help them in, as a consequence of that, their ability to fight in Ukraine. The other thing that we talked a lot about is that, and I raised it, and I didn't hear any. I can't swear that everyone agreed because not everyone got to talk about it. But we need a new industrial policy in the West. For example, we talked about how both the EU as well as NATO has to be able to begin to build their own munition capacity, has to be able to generate their own capacity to provide for weapons, and the ability to, it came as a surprise to some of us how we had fallen behind in the West in terms of the ability to construct new material, new weaponry, new everything from from vehicles to weapon systems. And so one of the things that came out of this was we're going to be meeting again with a number of my colleagues, my European colleagues, is what do we do to increase the capacity of the West, particularly in Europe and Japan, to be able to generate the kind of ability to produce their own weapon systems. Not just for themselves, but to be able to generate that. It's the same, it's what Russia's trying to figure out. That they went to China and they didn't get the weapons, but then they went to North Korea. But we're going to be in a position where the West is going to become the industrial base for the ability to have all the defensive weapons that we need. That was a discussion as well.
Mr. President, I'm not sure you answered on whether you would be ready to go deal with Putin and Xi 2 or 3 years from now.
I'm ready to deal with them now and 3 years from now. Look, like I said, I'm dealing with Xi right now and direct contact with him. I have no good reason to talk to Putin right now. There's not much that he is prepared to do in terms of accommodating any change in his behavior. And but there isn't any world leader I'm not prepared to deal with. But I understand the generic point is Putin ready to talk? I'm not ready to talk to Putin unless Putin's ready to change his behavior. And the idea, look, Putin's got a problem. First of all, in this war that he is supposedly have won, and by the way, I think, don't hold me to the exact number, but I think that Russia had 17.3% of Ukraine that they've conquered. Now it's 17.4. I mean, in terms of percentage of territory. They've not been very successful. They've caused horrible damage and loss of life, but they've also lost over 350,000 troops, military, killed or wounded. They have over 1 million people, particularly young people with technical capability, leaving Russia because they see no future there. They've got a problem. But what they do have control of is they are very good at controlling and running the public outcry that relates to how they use mechanisms to communicate with people. They lie like hell to the constituencies. They lie like hell about what's going on. And so the idea that we're going to be able to fundamentally change Russia in the near term is not likely. But one thing for certain, if we allow Russia to succeed in Ukraine, they're not stopping in Ukraine. I recommend, I know you know this because you've written about it, read Putin's speech after they moved in, what it was all about in Kyiv. It wasn't about just, anyway, read what his objective is. And anyway, but so I think that I'm prepared to talk to any leader who wants to talk, including if Putin called me and wanted to talk. Last time I talked to Putin was trying to get him to work on an arms control agreement related to nuclear weapons in space. That didn't go very far. So my point is, I'm prepared to talk to anybody, but I don't see any inclination. There is an inclination on the part of the Chinese to keep in contact with me because they're not sure where this all goes. And look what's happened in Asia. We have strengthened the Asian Pacific area more than anyone else has. We just put together with, today I brought on, I asked our NATO allies that we bring on the group from the South Pacific, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Australia. I already mentioned Australia. And I met twice now, I think, with the 14 leaders of the Pacific Island nations. And we've slowed down what's going on there. We've slowed down China's reach. But there's a lot of work to do. This is a moving target, and I don't take it lightly. Assam from NPR.
Thank you, Mr. President. Asma Khalid with NPR. I have two questions. Earlier, you spoke about the ceasefire plan between Israel and Hamas. We're now looking at 10 months of war, and I'm curious if there's anything that you feel personally you wish you would have done differently over the course of the war. And then secondly, if I may, I wanted to ask you about your presidential campaign. I remember covering your campaign in 2020, and there was a moment where you referred to yourself as a, quote, bridge candidacy, a transition to a younger generation of leaders. I want to understand what changed.
Two things. Let's go back to when you talked about would I have changed anything that's happening with Israel and the Palestinians and the Palestinian movement. The answer is, as you recall, from the very beginning, I went to Israel, but I also got immediate contact with Sitch in Egypt. I met with the King of Jordan. I met with most of the Arab leaders to try to get a consensus going as to what had to be done to deal with getting more aid and food and medicine into the Gaza Strip. And we pushed it really hard. And Israel occasionally was less than cooperative, number one. The Israeli War Cabinet, I've been dealing with Israel since Golda Meir. Some of the reporters around here come me all the time have heard me say this. The first time I met with Golda Meir, I sat across from her at her desk, and her assistant was Rabin sitting next to me. That's how far back I go. I know Israel well, and I support Israel. But this war cabinet is one of the most conservative war cabinets in the history of Israel. And there's no ultimate answer other than a two-state solution here. And so what was able to be done in terms of the plan I put together was it would be a process for a two-state solution. And we get the Arab nations to, particularly from Egypt to all the way to Saudi Arabia, to be in a position where they would cooperate in the transition so that they could keep the peace in Gaza without Israeli forces staying in Gaza. The question has been from the beginning, what's the day after in Gaza? And the day after in Gaza has to be, the end of the day after has to be no occupation by Israel on the Gaza Strip, as well as the ability for us to get in and out as rapidly as you can all that's needed there. I've been disappointed that some of the things that I've put forward have not succeeded as well, like the port reattached from Cyprus. I was hopeful that would be more successful. But that's why when I went to Israel immediately after the massacres that occurred at the hands of Hamas, the one thing I said to the Israelis, and I met with the War Cabinet and with Bibi, don't make the same mistake America made after bin Laden. There's no need to occupy anywhere. Go after the people who did the job. You may recall, I still get criticized for it, but I was totally opposed to the occupation and trying to unite Afghanistan. Once we got bin Laden, we should have moved on, because it was not no one's ever going to unite that country. I've been over every inch of that, not every inch, the entirety from the poppy fields all the way to the north. I said, don't make the same mistake we made. Don't think that's what you should be doing, is doubling down. We'll help you find the bad guys, Sinwar and company. And all this criticism about I wouldn't provide when the weapons they needed. I'm not providing them 2,000-pound bombs. They cannot be used in Gaza or any populated area without causing great human tragedy and damage. But remember what happened when you had the attack on Israel with rockets and ballistic missiles. I was able to unite the Arab nations as well as Europe, and nothing happened. Nothing got hurt. It sent an incredible lesson to what was going on from the Middle East. So there's a lot of things, in retrospect, I wish I had been able to convince the Israelis to do. But the bottom line is we have a chance now. It's time to end this war. It doesn't mean walk away from going after Sinwar and Hamas. And if you notice, you know better than most, there is a growing dissatisfaction in on the West Bank from the Palestinians about Hamas. Hamas is not popular now. And so there's a lot of moving parts. I just have to keep moving to make sure that we get as much done as we can toward a ceasefire, and get those. And by the way, look at the numbers in Israel. I mean, my numbers are better in Israel than they are here. But then again, they're better than a lot of other people here too. But anyway.
Bridge candidacy in 2020. You referred to yourself as being a bridge candidate for a younger, fresher generation of Democratic leaders, and I wanted to know what changed.
What changed was the gravity of the situation I inherited in terms of the economy, our foreign policy, and domestic division. And I think, I won't put words in anybody's mouth. Most presidential historians give me credit for having accomplished more than most any president since Johnson and maybe before that to get major pieces of legislation passed. And what I realized was my long time in the Senate had equipped me to have the wisdom to know how to deal with the Congress to get things done. We got more major legislation passed that no one thought would happen. And I want to finish it, to get that finished. If tomorrow, if we had a circumstance where there was a lineup and I hadn't inherited what I did and we just moved things along, anyway, it's going to change.
Last question.
Haley Bull, Scripps. Or no, Josh Weingrove, I'm sorry, was the next one. I'll do 2 more questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. Many of your colleagues, Democrats on the Hill, are watching tonight as they assess what they want to say about your candidacy. I'm wondering how you're thinking of this right now. It seems like your answer is clear, but they're watching how things go tonight, tomorrow in Michigan, next week in Texas and Nevada. Are you thinking that way about how the next week or 2 goes would inform your...
Am I using that way, you said?
Are you thinking that way about how the next 2 weeks go? Will that affect your decision, or are you fully determined on running in November as the party's nominee?
I'm determined on running, but I think it's important that I allay fears by let them see me out there. Let me see them out, for the longest time it was, Biden's not prepared to sit with us unscripted. Biden's not prepared to, anyway. And so what I'm doing is, and I've been doing, I think we've done over 20 major events from Wisconsin to North Carolina to demonstrate that I'm going out in the areas where we think we can win, where we can persuade people to move our way, or people are already there. And here, look, the other thing is, we have the most extensive campaign organization of anybody's had in a long, long time. We have well over 1,000 volunteers knocking on doors, making phone calls, making tens of thousands of phone calls. We have headquarters, I forget exactly how many, I don't want to cite a number and then find out I'm off, but we have scores of headquarters in all the toss-up states. We're organized, we're moving, and that's awful hard to replace in the near term. And so, and here's the other thing. I was in the Senate a long time. Very proud of what I've done in the Senate. I was chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee for a long time, and I was chairman or ranking member and chairman of the Judiciary Committee. I'm going to be going down to the Johnson Library. Anyway, I'm going to be going around making the case of the things that I think we have to finish and how we can't afford to lose what we've done or backslide on civil rights, civil liberties, women's rights. There's that little button we have. Control guns, not girls. I mean, the idea we're sitting around, this is where Kamala's so good as well. We're sitting around, more children are killed by a bullet than any other cause of death. The United States of America. What the hell are we doing? What are we doing? We've got a candidate saying, promised the NRA, don't worry, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do anything. You got a Supreme Court that is what you might call the most conservative court in American history. This is ridiculous. There's so much we can do still, and I'm determined to get it done. It's about freedom. And by the way, I'll end this. Well, I'm not going to do that. Haley has to come up too. But I remember I made a speech on democracy in Philadelphia at Independence Hall. And I'm not being critical, just observing. The bulk of the press said, what the hell is he talking about that for? Democracy. You did. Democracy's not an issue. Democracy's not an issue. Except the polling data showed 60% of the people knew I was right, thought I was right. I'm not asking you a question. You don't have to answer, obviously. But do you think our democracy is under siege based on this court? Do you think democracy is under siege based on Project 2025? Do you think he means what he says when he says he's going to do away with the civil service, eliminate the Department of Education, make sure, we've never been here before. And that's the other reason why you say, hand off to another generation. I've got to finish this job. I've got to finish this job because there's so much at stake.
We've had some discussions over the past few days with your press secretary about the question of health exams. And you said you take a cognitive test every day in this job. Are you open to taking another physical or test before the election? Governor Whitmer of Michigan, for instance, said it wouldn't hurt to take a test.
Well, look, two things. One, I've taken 3 significant and intense neurological exams by a neurologist. In each case, as recently as February. And they say I'm in good shape, okay? Although I do have a little problem with my left foot because it's not as sensitive because I broke my foot and didn't wear the boot. But I'm good. I'm tested every single day about my neurological capacity to do decisions I make every day. You talk to my staff, all of you talk to my staff. Sometimes my staff talks a lot. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think you have them telling you that all the major ideas we've undertaken haven't been in part initiated by me. I remember when the staff, I said, I'm going to go to South Korea, we're going to get the chip. What are you doing? I'm going to get Japan and Korea back together again after essentially having hostilities toward one another since the end of World War II. I'm going to move and see that we can expand it. The only thing age does is help you with it, creates a little bit of wisdom if you pay attention. And so the point I'm making is, I think it's important that if the neurologist tells me he thinks I need another exam, and by the way, I've laid every bit of the record out. Hadn't hidden a thing. You ought to ask Trump for his, okay? I laid it all out. And every single day I'm surrounded by good docs. If they think there's a problem, I promise you, or even if they don't think it's a problem, they think I should have a neurological exam again, I'll do it. But no one's suggesting that to me now. And I'll ask you another question. No matter what I did, no one's going to be satisfied. Did you have 7 docs? Did you have 2? Who'd you have? Did you do this? How many times did you? So I am not opposed if my doctors tell me I should have another neurological exam, I'll do it. But that's where I am. Haley Bull, Scripps.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said you're making decisions on a day-to-day basis when it comes to support for Ukraine. Does that mean you have not closed the door on further considering lifting restrictions for U.S.-made weapons inside Russia? And if I may, your convention is coming up where your delegates are pledged to make you the official nominee. If they have second thoughts, are they free to vote their conscience?
Obviously, they're free to do whatever they want, but I get overwhelming support. Overwhelming support. I won, I forget how many votes I won in the primary. Overwhelming. And so tomorrow, if all of a sudden I show up at the convention, everybody says we want somebody else, that's the democratic process. It's not going to happen.
Even if that means they vote for someone else?
Sure. Look, I'll end this with this. I served in the Senate a long time. I understand the impetus of candidates running for local office and whether they think the topic can help them or not. In my state of Delaware, which was a very, at least it was a red state when I started, in terms of we now talk red and blue. I don't recall most of the Democratic presidents winning my state when I was a candidate. The truth of the matter is I understand the self-interest of a candidate. If they think that, running with Biden at the top is going to hurt them, then they're going to run away. I get it. But so far, go and look at the polling data in their states. Look at the in-depth, and by the way, I think you'd all acknowledge, and you're all experts, I'm not being solicitous about the president, you're experts on this stuff. How accurate does anybody think the polls are these days? I can give you a series of polls where you have likely voters, me versus Trump, where I win all the time. When the unlikely voters vote, he wins sometimes. The bottom line is all the polling data right now, which I think is premature because the campaign really hasn't even started. I mean, it hadn't started in earnest yet. Most of the time, it doesn't start till after September, after Labor Day. So a lot can happen. But I think I'm the best I believe I'm the best qualified to govern. And I think I'm the best qualified to win. But there are other people who could beat Trump too. But it's awful start from scratch. And, we talk about, money raised. We're not doing bad. We got about $220 million in the bank. We're doing well. So with that, you have any want to follow up on any of that you just asked me?
Yes. You earlier explained confidence in your vice president.
Yes.
If your team came back and showed you data that she would fare better against former President Donald Trump, would you reconsider your decision to stay in the race?
No, unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win. Me. No one's saying that. No poll says that.
Mr. President,
okay.
This ends tonight's press conference. Thanks, everybody. This concludes.
Respectfully, earlier you misspoke in your opening answer. You referred to Vice President Harris as Vice President Trump. Right now, Donald Trump is using that to mock your age and your memory. How do you combat that criticism from tonight?
Listen to him.
This concludes tonight's press conference. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everyone.
Oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Okay.
What
does that mean?
Oh, man.
So I see that the Biden campaign, they've decided a very new and effective strategy for Biden. Okay. The strategy is that Biden's going to come out and he's going to go he's transformed from Sleepy Joe to making you sleep, Joe. He's going to just lull the audience into like a stupor, and it's a boring, rambling, sleepy stupor so that you fall asleep and you don't realize that he's an 85-year-old dementia patient.
Rambling Joe Biden.
Oh my God.
No, there's a lot here, Sitch.
Is there?
There is a lot here.
There's a lot here? Okay. What's going on here?
Well, look, I think he failed. He utterly failed. He utterly failed to assuage the voters' confidence or ill confidence in him. Like I think obviously his age is showing. He comes off as completely rambly. I mean, some of the answers were completely incoherent. Like, what was he talking about? So yeah, look, I think this was just an utterly horrible performance, and this is what is going to continue to happen. The more Joe Biden tries to show everyone that he's just fine, he's just, totally coherent, he's done a great job, and he's going to continue to do a good job, the more you're going to get horrendous performances like this. And it's going to continue. It's going to continue to be a downward spiral.
Well,
like, I love the guy jumping in at the end saying,
right,
look, you messed up right out of the gate. How are you going to combat this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's not going. There is absolutely no way to combat it.
Right.
He has these. I mean, obviously, he goes into like talking points mode. So he gets a question and he goes into his regular talking points, but he even mixes those talking points up. So. Look, I didn't see anything that showed he was completely coherent and understood what was going on. I saw a guy who can repeat some talking points and not really be able to put together coherent thoughts that are original.
Right. Well, I think this was actually the worst case scenario for the Democrats is this performance. Because this performance, I mean, it wasn't anywhere near as bad as the debate. But it was bad in a different way. It was, you think this was worse than the debate? I don't know. Completely disagree with you. If that's
Okay.
what you're reacting to.
Well, no, I think it's just as bad as the debate.
Really? Okay. I find that
Yeah,
shocking.
there were plenty of questions that were completely, like, his answers were completely incoherent.
Not at the level that they were during the debate. There was him him in the beginning, saying that Kamala was Trump, and then there was him stumbling over his words a couple of times. There's him kind of rambling off and then just saying, okay, anyways. But it wasn't, which is bad, don't get me wrong, but it was not the debate.
It's not the level of the debate.
It was not the level of the debate.
So you
no.
thought this was a decent performance then, or?
Well, decent. I mean, what are we talking about here? I think
exactly.
if I had to grade this on, well, first of all, if I had to grade this like on a normal scale for a normal person, it would be an F. Okay.
Okay.
If I'm biting it on the Biden scale, right, which is different, it's weighted for Biden, I'd say it's like a C minus. And this is I think the worst case scenario for the Democrats is because this is the kind of performance where it's not the train wreck of the debate enough to force to pressure him to leave over the weekend, but it's not a good performance either. And so this is the performance that he can give so that him and his staff can delude themselves into saying he's staying in. Look, I did fine. I didn't drive my car into a wall. I didn't Mr. Magoo off a cliff. I'm totally in it to win it, boys. And this performance, this like boring, sleepy, putting us to sleep, meandering, rambling performance, which is terrible, but not the train wreck of the debate, is going to basically allow him to just stay in, for again and again and again and again and again, longer and longer and longer as we get closer to the DNC.
He's basically come out and said the polls are all wrong.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, he sounds delusional.
I know.
He sounds completely delusional. Just, I don't know how you spin that as,
because he's going to say what do you mean? Trump said the polls are all wrong. Everyone says the polls are wrong. I think it's even Nate Silver said whenever a candidate's losing, they say the polls are all wrong. So
okay. Well,
I mean, I agree with you. It's ridiculous, obviously. And this I mean, by this performance is not going to help him among those polls at all.
Well, he said he would step down if people could show him that he would lose. But then he also said that the polls are all wrong. So how can anyone show him that he can lose? How did they do that? How do they show him?
Crystal ball that shows him the future.
They have to be fucking time travelers,
exactly,
right?
Yes.
Okay,
so John Connor to come back from the future and tell him.
In the nest. Look, this was only the first. I'd like to watch this again because several questions I was like, this is completely incoherent. He's going off the rails here. And
if you could watch this again, I'd give you mass. I mean, I literally was like fading. So
sometimes it seemed like he was talking about Trump, and sometimes it seemed like he was like it, but it sounded like he was talking about himself. It wasn't really clear who the object of what he was saying was about. And that was taking place also with the world leaders and stuff. Look, the world leaders don't look at this and go, "Oh yeah, this is going to be fine."
Oh no one's looking at this saying this is fine, except for him and his staff. That's what I'm saying.
When he was talking about Finland and joining NATO and Switzerland and all that stuff, I mean, you were following along with that, right? I mean, it was all crystal clear what he was saying.
No, of course.
The Finlandization
clear,
and the Switzeralization of
nothing he said was clear.
Okay.
This was like, okay, maybe this is the way to like sort of picture this. This is like when you go to the old folks' home and you ask the old folk a question and they like ramble on about a kind of story that's kind of tangentially related to what you asked about, and it just goes on forever until you want to die, right? Okay, that's what this was. The debate performance was watching someone have dementia before your eyes, and you go, "Oh my God, someone get the nurse," right? So it's different.
Okay.
They're both bad, right? Don't get me wrong; they're both bad, and you don't want either for your president. But I'm just saying that this like. Because it wasn't as bad, it's going to basically give him some cover until the next fuck up, essentially.
Right.
So,
well, I guess we'll see tomorrow and over the next few days how people are spinning it. I guess there is a certain contingency of Biden people that are going to spin this, but they went into this planning on spinning it after the fact.
Right.
So
the handful of Biden spinner people will point
continue
to this.
spin.
Yeah,
right.
They'll point to this as like a good showing. This isn't going to change anyone's mind. Any of the people that jumped off the Biden train, I don't think they're gonna say, "Oh, I was off the train, but then I saw the big boy conference or performance, and now I'm back on." Like, I think everyone that's off the Biden train is going to be off until the election. They're never jumping back on ever at any point. So
right. So, but this is just. So undecideds are going to watch this, and they're going to continue to trend away from
this
Biden.
Drained old man who's making this. He sounds like Biden at this point sounds like that roll of toothpaste that has like a little bit left, like right at the end. So you're like really squeezing it to really get every possible shred of toothpaste out of it before you throw it away. That's what Biden sounds like right now.
Right. Well, I love the question about you mentioned about passing the torch to a younger generation, and that just incoherent dribble that he put out about how, I was going to do it, but now I have to do it. It's like, I have a job left to do. There's so much left to do.
I've got wisdom, Adam. I've got wisdom.
Right. Yeah. Oh, this was a unmitigated disaster in my eyes. So.
Okay. Yeah, it definitely was. Definitely not great. So
I wanted to see George Clooney's face as he was watching this. I don't see this as like an improvement. That's the thing is, in the debate, he said, "Look, I had an off night, right?" We're establishing a baseline here. This is not okay, he had an off night on the debate night, and then this is like his normal self. This is not substantially different enough from debate night.
No.
For him to carry on with this charade that he had a bad night on debate night.
Right.
I think that alone is enough for people to start like abandoning in full force. Like, so he's going to do another one of these things, right? And he's going to do another debate. You're going to see, okay, well, it's not a bad night. This is just normal Biden. And people are going to be like, what's going on here? What am I voting for?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but yeah, it's going to just continue. And I guess, it's going to continue, and Biden's going to keep hanging on. And I don't know.
If
he keeps performing,
I'm still counting my money. I'm counting my Phil money. Sorry.
But I'm not. Here's the problem. If he can just match this performance the whole time, I don't think he'll drop out. If he could just keep at this level of terribleness, of middling terribleness, and I'm not sure I'm not sure the Democrats have the balls to force him out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm curious to see what everyone's response is, because I think everyone's response tomorrow is going to be low energy, very sleepy, very rambly, very boring, but it's not debate level incoherent. I think that's what the narrative is going to be.
I
But
think the
they're still going to
narrative is
say
going
that
to
he needs
be.
to leave. So,
I think the narrative is going to be Biden did nothing to put people's fears to bed.
I think you are correct. That is
Biden
that is the
completely,
narrative, yeah.
which is a failure.
Yeah, that's true. That is
Yeah.
what they're all going to say. They're going to say
Look,
Biden did nothing to reassure voters or donors. They're still calling for him to leave. And he's saying, well, but I put on my big boy pants. I was a big boy. Didn't you see my big boy press conference?
I think the narrative going into this was this is make or break for Biden. Biden has established a narrative that he had a bad night and that he can do a press conference that's off teleprompter.
Right.
And show energy and pep. And I just think he utterly failed there.
Yeah.
And all the narrative that he went into this with is obviously a lie. And then to even at the very beginning when he's talking about the polls being off and saying, look, he literally said this election hasn't even started yet. The fuck is he talking about, dude?
Yeah, yeah. He said,
this election hasn't started. You literally had a presidential debate already.
I know. This is insane.
He's delusional. Every time he talks, he's more and more delusional.
Is he delusional or just lying?
Okay.
And that's the problem.
I don't know which is worse.
Exactly.
Oh, he's just a liar.
It's terrible.
Democrats want to win, man. They want to win bad, and they're worried. I mean, there's a big argument to be made that this is massively going to depress turnout in the Democratic base. Like the Democratic base is not going to show up, and if they don't show up, they can't vote for down ballot candidates. All of those down ballot candidates are like shitting their drawers right now, going, "Oh my God, this is going to depress turnout in my district. Nobody wants to show up and vote for this geezer."
Right.
This is the death knell. Anyway, I think well, I mean, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Maybe you're right, maybe I'm right, but I
think you're correct in terms of what the main narrative will be is Biden need to reassure voters and failed to do so.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Right.
This was Biden's last chance to prove debate night was a bad night. I had a cold. I went through 25 different time zones. I just, I'll be fine.
Yeah, it's like, no, you're just old. Yeah.
Vice President Trump is laughing his fucking ass off right now.
Exactly.
Anyway, that was fun.
Yep.
That was a lot of fun. Anyway. He kept losing his train of thought and going, anyway. Look, when we say anyway, it's because we're moving to the next segment. When Biden says
he'd
anyway,
be mid-sentence and then he'd forget what he was saying. And,
right.
It's bad.
I am going to re-listen to this because some parts were just like incomprehensible, like totally incomprehensible.
Maybe I'll try re-listening at like 2x speed so I don't like just fall asleep. So.
Yeah, look, after a while, I'm so glad. Look, I pulled out the blunt when he was talking about the polls being like nobody, that the polls are completely wrong and that he's doing great and no one can beat him and no one's going to challenge him at the convention. I had the blunt in his mouth and it was just chef's kiss. Perfect. This guy's fucking high.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's completely high. Anyway, you want to poll the audience or you want to jump off? I guess we got super chats.
We got super sorry.
So will Dems force Biden? I changed the poll. We got 1,126 votes for will Dems force Biden out, and we've got 53% say yes, 47% say no. Now my take is that 47% saying no, probably the Trump supporters in our audience who are terrified they're going to pull this geezer out. They want to see this geezer go the distance. And I got to admit, I am curious how Dems can keep a straight face through this entire campaign season with this corpse.
Exactly.
with this fucking corpse. Nobody believes him. This is another thing too. This is such brand damage. This is destroying the Democratic brand. The more Democrats come out and say Joe Biden is our man, when everybody can see with their eyes this guy it's deteriorating before us. Like, it's obviously old age, something everybody has had experience with, something everybody understands. It's so blatantly obvious that they're lying to your face. I don't see how that doesn't completely destroy the brand of the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see. All the polls are wrong. 6 swing states have tipped towards Trump in the last 48 hours. That's all just bullshit. I'm winning, everybody. Everyone loves me. Only I can do it. Only me, Geezer Joe. Look at this.
Wow.
And a Kasparian for $10. So disgusted with the Dems, so disgusted with what the Dems have become. That's exactly right, Anna.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Complete brand destruction. Nobody will be able to take them seriously if they nominate this person. Everybody knows it too. They're like, look, I feel like a fraud when I stand up and say this guy is great. I feel like an idiot standing up and saying this guy is great for America.
Mm-hmm.
Sitch, say it with me.
I don't feel like a fraud. What do you mean?
No, and I just look. This can't be real.
Yeah, I know. It's like
I
this
feel
is
like
a joke.
in a Willy Wonka movie.
You're waiting to wake up from this nightmare of a joke that this campaign has been. Yes.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Anyway, thanks for the super chat, Annie.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think, did we read this one? Ben for $10 says, dude, it's so frustrating when Destiny talked about the constellation of beliefs. It's like, yeah, if my temperament is conservative, I'll have conservative positions, not because I'm an NPC.
Oh, I know. Yeah, look. And also, it's a complete stereotype. Right. I mean, try that philosophy with other things, so you get in big trouble.
The problem is it is true for like a lot of people, not just conservatives. It's true for the left. It's true for like a lot of people. They just have what the tribal position is.
There are a lot of NPCs, but going out into the world and saying everybody's basically an NPC, but me, I'm the only one that can have complex political positions, right? I'm the only one that can have nuanced takes and understand that. Everyone else.
The truth is, Adam, the truth is that everyone but us and our audience are the NPCs. Okay, we are the true free will seekers, the true main characters of life.
How does that? And look, I'm not even sure it's true. I'm reading this Batya Unger Sargon book, and most of the people in the book that she's interviewing, she says don't have the constellation of beliefs. If you go by her data, and it's like 60% of people want universal health care and stronger immigration laws. How is that the constellation of beliefs?
Right. It's not.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's completely ridiculous. Yes, that's the case when you're an online debate person that keeps debating basically NPCs on the conservative side.
Yeah, the pundits have those kind of talking points.
Look, of course they have the constellation of beliefs because they're trying to appeal to an audience, and they're like, I will get the widest audience if I have this constellation of beliefs, right? But the normal person is not trying to appeal to an audience. They're trying to figure it out for themselves. They don't care about having a constellation of beliefs. They don't care that the Democrats support universal health care and the Republicans support stronger immigration. They want both.
Right?
Yeah.
Riker Jeffrey for 7 Canadian, thanks so much. Says sometimes you guys can't win. LMAO, you're right wingers when you don't strawman conservatives, and you're leftists when you hint at conservatives being what? When you hit at conservative. Oh, when you hit at conservatives, LOL centrist for the win. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is what it is. You guys got to be strong.
That's right.
Now, everyone hates look, when you think for yourself, people hate your guts. Okay. Right. That's just the way it is. You gotta nut up and be strong.
True.
Yeah.
True. Jan Maritz or Temp Camp, thanks so much for the $5. Says, who's the biggest goodest boy? There you go.
Yeah, where's Jill Biden?
There you go. Where's Jill? Stug for $2 says Biden Trump ticket 2024. There you go.
When he asked at the very end of this, when he asked her if she wanted a follow-up, I was like, oh, major fumble. Why?
Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck? Why?
Grassroots Hegemon for $5 says, when he said he was going to unite partisans, I didn't think it'd be by making Trump VP, but it's so crazy it might just work.
Wow.
There you go. It's true. This is a 2014 Ukraine Victoria Nuland situation. You're gonna have the Nuland, now you're gonna have the 2024 Nuland phone call. Nuland's gonna call up, and say, like, I think Trump should take the offer to be Biden's vice president.
That would be cool.
And people are gonna be like, see, we got it, it's rigged. Lethal Strain, that's a very esoteric joke. Lethal Strain for $10 says Vice President Trump needs to tell Biden he's breaking the Hatch Act by campaigning with White House resources. Wow. There you go.
Well, yeah, he did have a huge campaign speech kind of in the beginning there, didn't he?
Yep. Short Stack Goblin for $2 says, dude striking out on softballs. Yikes.
Yeah.
Hiding in Dev's car while he moves specifically for 14 months says, the press is playing the part of the concerned grandchild convincing grandpa to give up his keys. That's true. And sad.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it feels like. Contrast for 27 months. Thank you. Says Sitch has got to be pulling some Jackie Chan ouch faces throughout this conference. That's funny. And thank you for giving me the interpreter's face.
The woman was so good. I was like, wow, this is crazy good.
Yep.
She's just going nuts.
Wonton Tiger, thanks so much for joining the Free Will Seekers. Sorlak for $2 says Biden's barely holding on. True. There's at one point, I forget which question it was, where he was like,
I know, he's falling asleep.
There was that was another point. There's one point where like he was falling asleep during his own answer that he was so boring he bored himself. There's another part where it looked like he was like timidly, he had like his hands like in the middle of the podium, like he was like holding onto the podium, or he's gonna like slip off the stage and just fall asleep. It was pretty bad.
Oh, I remember the one that was one of the ones that was incomprehensible was when they were talking about the strategy for striking inside of Russia in the Ukraine-Russia war. I was like, oh my God. And I look, I'm curious what the policy wonks will say about that stuff, because he could literally be saying stuff that is completely damaging to our foreign policy and not even know it.
Right.
And a bunch of people could come out tomorrow and look, none of this, that could be the big story, right? Oh my God, he told Putin that they wouldn't strike Moscow. That was one of our biggest bargaining chips.
Right. Jacob Lloyd for $2 says, didn't he break the railroad strike? That's right, Joe Biden.
Oh yeah.
He broke the railroad strike of 1837. Grassroots Hegemon for $5 says he should have just pulled down his pants and called everyone the C word like I told him. I agree. M182 Abrams SEP V3 for $5 says they're purposely asking Biden questions that make him F himself. LMAFO.
I know. That was another thing. I was like, okay, well, the media has officially turned on.
Oh, yeah.
Biden.
They got an axe to grind. Yeah. Anonymous
Straight
Cow
out of
for
the gate, too.
Yep. Anonymous Cow for $5 says, what was the baseline for Biden to do well in this conference? I'm trying to think what the normie would say after watching the debate. The baseline would just be for him to kind of be energetic and cogent and give sharp answers, which obviously we all knew was impossible. So that would be the baseline for doing well.
Yeah.
Fondue for $2 says, best start believing in bad nights. You're in one. There you go. I like that.
Yeah.
M182 Abrams for another $5 says, I thought self-harm content wasn't allowed on YouTube. Yikes. Ouch. Got him. CS for $10 says, he's gone, bruh. He's gone. That is true. Hiding in Dev's car while he moves specifically for $5 says it's frustrating because the pieces of the coherent argument are there if scrambled, but he clearly is in no position to communicate them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I've heard a lot of people come out and go, well, you kind of know what he means here if you piece it all together in your mind.
That's not what you want for your president.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how do you go into negotiations like that?
You don't, yeah, you don't want your president to be like, they say something and you're like, is this a riddle? Let me consult the innards of a chicken to determine what President Biden just said.
It really, the CHIPS Act stuff really bugs me too, because
I
it's
could
like,
tell.
well, because he keeps saying, look, nobody thought we could do it. Nobody thought we could do it because, yeah, nobody was even thinking about chips. Like, you didn't run on chips. Chips were like, no, nobody perceived of a problem with chips until it kind of came up, and then everyone worked on it together to solve the issue. So it's like, it's not like you got Obamacare passed or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Cameraman 502 for $2 says talking points regardless of what the question is.
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on.
Yeah, a lot of generic answers. Jacob Lloyd, thanks for the $5, says, I quote, I wore an onion around my belt because that's what the fashion. Oh, yes, I can face down Xi and Putin. Grandpa Abe for president.
That was another super cringeworthy moment when he tried to go full, I'm angry about all these kids being killed by firearms, but you couldn't really tell what the fuck he was talking about.
More kids that died from guns, Adam.
Like, what?
What was the question? Because it wasn't about that, was it? I don't remember. It seemed kind of random.
Yeah. He's like, oh, and it just played as, I remember I was supposed to say this.
Right.
And I forgot, but let me just throw it in here. It's so bad.
Right.
So bad.
Yeah,
F minus is what I give. You gave a C, I give an F minus.
Well, I give it an F for a normal.
Minus.
I give it an F for a normal candidate. I give it a C for Biden on the Biden scale.
A C. Why are you even grading on the Biden scale?
I just give him
Everyone's
both.
out for
I'm just giving
blood.
both. Yeah.
Everyone's out for blood. Nobody wants to vote for this guy. Nobody wants to stand next to him on a stage.
No.
Everyone's terrified that they're going to lose their spot. Everyone's terrified that they're doing irreversible brand damage to the Democratic Party. That's what's going on.
That is true. And
Yes.
they basically already have at this point.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah.
So none of this, you're saying the Democratic Party's going out to the wilderness again.
I don't know. Actually, no. Well, first of all, I think Trump has done significantly more brand damage to the Republican Party than this has done for the Democrats.
Okay.
And I have no clue what the Republican Party is going to look like when Trump is gone. But it depends. I think if Biden does get replaced, then it will do damage, but it will maybe be salvageable. If they don't replace him, I don't know. The future would look pretty murky.
Look,
I mean, I don't think the parties are going to like dissolve. I think they're too entrenched to dissolve, but there's going to be a major shakeup.
Yeah. I do think that if they pull him out and it's a contested convention, that it will do very well in repairing the brand damage that has been done to the Democratic Party, because it will appear that the Democrats actually grew a fucking spine.
Well,
and
supposedly
stood in the way of a catastrophe.
I forget who I was listening to that said this. They said that basically when they claimed that when Obama won the presidency, he destroyed the Democratic Party in a way that people don't talk about. Yeah, I don't remember because I think we both listened to it.
Yeah.
And they were saying
that Peter Zion.
Was it Zion? It might have. He was saying that Obama essentially like replaced all the heads of the DNC with Obama people who were used to be like kind of more lifelong DNC people, and it basically transformed the DNC into like this apparatus of like the Obama team,
right?
And that's kind of ruined its operations ever since. And so that like everything you're saying with like Hillary and now Biden and all these bad decisions are all just like these decisions flowing from the Obama team taking over the DNC. And so if there is this shakeup in some at the DNC convention and someone else gets in charge and they can just throw all these people out, I mean, that could breathe life in the Democratic Party that's sorely needed. So Bob Van Gogh for $5 says, with all this IP talk, people must be getting really good at subnetting. Yes. Fondue for $2 says, what changed? Why replace the lady with the bald guy? They get tired, They get tired doing all the signing. So
who did this meme? This meme's perfect. This is going to be your new avatar. The one from I guess I should shout him out. Someone did. Dave. Thank you,
Oh,
Dave,
yeah.
for the amazing screen cap.
I said it looks like remember in Austin Powers, the lady
Yes.
bringing the clouds. Looks like her. Grassroots hegemon for $5 says, "Can Joe Biden make the president of El Salvador his vice president?" I could do that. There you go. Zorlak Joe says, "Just waiting for Biden to say, quote, pause for applause." There it is.
Oh, yeah.
Hiding in Dev's cars while he moves specifically for Joe says, "Just run the election between the interpreters." True. Fondue for $2 says, "Anyway, dot, dot, dot." Yeah, how
Oh, I
dare
know.
he?
That
How
made
dare
me
he?
laugh out loud because as soon as he did that,
I know.
Biden said anyway again.
I know.
Anyway.
Anyway. Sub for $5 says, "Do you think if Biden did the Howard Dean scream, he'd win?" Oh my god.
Ooh.
Hilarious.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. That's what he kept saying. It's not going to happen. It's when he does the whisper. Oh, it's so cringy. The whisper.
The whisper was maximum cringe. So, yeah. TL1524 for $2 says, "Drink when he says anyway." Grassroots Hegemon for $5 says, "Control guns, not girls. Also, please make my wife put that gun away." There you go. Jared for $5 says, "He sounds worse than my Alzheimer's grandmother who only knows dog facts and Catholic stuff." Terrible. Mr. President Fedora says, "And guess what? And guess what?" That's another one of his euphemisms.
He says, "Look." I say, "Look." I don't like him stealing my look. Look.
Look, folks. You never say folks, though. Margin for $5 says, "Let's take Korea back for Japan. Let's do Trump's tariffs while booing Trump's tariffs. The kimchi had it too good for too long. Biden 2024. Grassroots Hegemon for $5 says, "Streaming Joe Biden's speeches is funding Sitch and Adams' presidential fund. Adam is clearly the first lady." Nice. I've heard a horse for 23 months. Thanks so much. Says, "I'm hoping they push Biden out. Personally, I'm hoping to vote for the dirt man in case he comes to town." Well, there you go. Fondue for $5 says, "The debate was worse because the left didn't expect it. Now everyone knows it. People expect it now." I mean, that's definitely true. Hiding in Dev's cars while he moves specifically for $2 says, "I don't know, Sitch, the last 3 minutes was an optics car bomb." The last 3 minutes was the worst part of it, besides the opening. So
You have a follow-up for me? Just give me the follow-up, okay?
Right. There's actually
I'm ready to crash and burn all night long.
There's actually a clip, I don't remember exactly how he said it, that I think will be the most, besides the vice president thing, that I think the pundits will push the most to like make him look bad. He fucked up him saying something about like, I've had, like he couldn't say neurologist correctly. Do you remember that? He was like my neurosams or something. I don't know. He just kept saying it. He said it wrong and he like mumbled all over it. I'm like, you don't want to be saying when you're talking about your brain function. That's not when you want to like fuck up what you're saying. So
I take a cognitive test 3 times a day.
Right.
I take it every day.
Yeah, when he has to feed himself, see if the spoon can still reach the lips.
Oh my god. Oh, that's so perfect.
Gaming Chucker JS for $10 says, "Joe Biden keeps lying about kids' death by firearms. Nothing but false talking points." Yeah, we talked about that when that came out.
Is that the number one thing that's killing kids? Is
no, there was some report that was like because usually it's car accidents.
Yeah.
And then this is not including, I think, diseases or something. And then they're like, no, it's switched to shootings. And I was like, what? And I looked into this and it's kind of weird. I forget the exact way they do it. They kind of like fuck with the numbers a little bit. Like they kind of like cut off, I think, like kids before 1. And then I don't remember if they include kids that are 19. I don't know. They do something kind of a little weird to get that number. But then it's actually like kind of fucked up because if you remove, it's like mostly gang violence and gang shootings, because it's like if you start to like fuck around with the ethnic groups, it drastically changes the numbers too. So,
oh really?
Yeah, it's been like a dramatic increase of like gang violence and stuff. So, Jacob Lloyd for $5 says the Potemkin Village press conference where they chose the questions and he still flopped is arguably worse because of the grading curve. Yeah, I was curious. Did they have to give those questions beforehand? Because the way they read the questions felt very robotic, didn't it? Like they'd stand up and read the little question they wrote down. It seemed so much more stiff than a normal press conference.
Yeah. Hey, I have to go back and listen, but
Right, it was very weird.
the
I don't
intro,
Mhm.
I mean, he said, I'm supposed to ask these people in order or something like that. And you're just like, whoa, what?
Right, yeah, what does that mean exactly? I thought this was supposed to be the big boy press conference.
And he's
Yeah.
reading off a page
Right.
of the people to ask. Normally these press conferences go, he's just pointing people out of the crowd. They try to point out the spontaneity of it.
Right. Yeah, well, that's the irony. Obviously, it's not a big boy press conference because that'd be everyone going, like at the end, they go, President, 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 and then he chooses someone, right?
Yeah.
Toxic Mix for $20. Thanks so much. Says, but Sitch. None of this should matter to the voters. Don't you know how many times Trump lied last time and how he lied to cover up his lies while strumming his lyre in Liberia before he turned into a lichen? There you go. Exactly. But all the lies. Nomad for 14 months says, all right, guys, I think I'm on the quote, keep Biden the race camp because I'd rather have Biden than Kamala because when he talks, I can get a good sleep. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Lemur Wrench for $5 says, I think the biggest obstacle to a candidate switch is that no other potential candidate other than Michelle Obama seems to pull any better than Biden. That's actually not true anymore. I saw a bunch of polls, I think even including the poll that you talked about, or Carl Rove brought it up, I thought, in that clip you sent me. Or maybe it was a different clip. That in a bunch of these polls, Harris has actually surpassed Biden and is actually ahead
She's
of Trump in some of the
competitive
polls.
now with Trump. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's gonna be a big push for Harris probably. Todd Sullivan, thanks so much for the $5 and the dog sticker. Fondue for $2 says, when being malicious is the better option. Bad for $5 says, aren't mail-in ballots still a thing? They don't need to turn out to vote. It's the biggest equalizer in this presidential run. I think it is in some, I believe in some of the key areas, key states, they've been tamped down. They still exist, but they've been tamped down. They're not like at the same level as they were with COVID. So M182 Abrams for $5 says, Biden gets nominated and drops dead before the election day. Divine comedy. That would be.
Wow.
Hiding in Dev's car, one move specifically for $5 says, I'm an NPC. I run the mouse race minigame when you find the secret entrance to the wall tunnels. The stats on the prizes are actually pretty sweet. Wow. I love that game. That game was awesome.
It's a good game, huh?
That was a great game. Yeah, back
Maybe
in
I
the
should
day.
check it out.
Yeah. Spencer Harmon for $10 says, I heard that the debate was the easiest ever. They typically happen after the conventions. There's a reason of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they moved the debate before because they wanted, Biden to fail.
Yes.
So they would have time to replace him in the convention. Yeah.
Twitter sucks for 18 months says, listen to Trump, quite possibly the only intelligent, coherent thing Biden has said for the last 6 years.
Yeah. What was that about?
I don't know.
Trump the question was, Trump, you misspoke in the beginning of this thing, which he didn't know, obviously.
Right.
And Trump is already making hay about it. And he says, well, listen to Trump.
I think, so I'm going to cut open the chicken and read its gizzard to try to figure out what
yeah,
Biden
exactly.
said. I'm guessing what he meant to say was that
Trump is a liar.
So preposterous, you just have to listen to him to hear how silly he sounds. I think I'm guessing, but it doesn't make sense in the context of the question. So.
It's like a sarcastic.
Yes.
Well, we're going to listen to Trump, right?
Yeah. But it's
Trump the liar?
But it's but you did it.
Yeah. Of course, Trump is lying. Everyone knows I didn't mess up. I never mess up.
I know. Hennessy for $10 says, Biden first got elected arguing his candidate was too old and was elected during a youth rebellion. Now he's going to be ushering in a new youth rebellion in 2028. No way. We have candidates 60 plus for a minute. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Boy,
the youth vote is really going to turn out for this election. That's for sure.
My Dumb Movies for 20 months says, I, for one, love the Crypt Keeper noises Biden makes in between words. Hashtag Bluntyfly 2024.
Yeah, we made use of Bluntyfly too. I don't know if you were watching the stream, but
I saw. Yeah, I saw.
Okay. I mean, I was trying to
you,
keep it. I was trying to keep people awake.
You know, it's funny. I heard you snickering, and then that's when I was like, I got to bring up the stream. Adam's done something to my beautiful image here.
Oh, that was Chat's idea.
Yeah.
Chat was like,
okay. Blame Chat. Listen, Adam, part of being a president, being a leader, is you have to take responsibility. You don't blame.
the buck always stops with Chat. Okay.
Yeah, you don't blame Chat. Okay. David Buff for 23 months says, one thing gives me hope. Tonight, the media did their job. Instead of towing the line, they used their time to get at the meat of the issue. Bravo.
Yeah, look, and that is an important point because I do think the knives are out for Biden. I do think.
Oh, yeah.
There are enough people in power in the Democratic Party to force Biden out. It's just, they're trying to do it the nice way, but ultimately I think they're going to do it the mean way if Biden doesn't get the hint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the knives are out pretty big for two reasons. One is that, I mean, most of them probably, they want Trump to lose and they know that Biden can't win. That's part of it. I think, but even maybe more so than that, is that I think a lot of the press people had either knowingly or just deluded themselves into basically providing cover, saying, that, oh, Biden is not as enfeebled as Trump is saying. And then they were probably using a lot of like Biden campaign talking points and a lot of Biden staffer talking points. And now they know that's not true, they just feel like they've been lied to and realize they've really hurt their credibility with the American people. So they're actually like really personally, really pissed off at the Biden team for basically hurting their credibility so much.
Yeah, they want to save their own reputations.
Exactly. Yeah. So now to save their own reputations, or the way to try to rehabilitate their own reputations, are going to be super savage. Twitter sucks for $20. Thank you so much. Says, what do I say to a quote never Trumper family member who's now saying a puppeted Biden is better than a fascist Trump, when literally for the last 8 years they've been saying Trump is a Russian puppet? Are they salvageable?
Well, you ask them, is the puppeteer a fascist?
Well, they're going to say no.
Yeah, well, you don't know that.
I mean, I don't think you can, obviously. You're not going to convince anyone at that point. So,
yeah, look, it's pointless to really try.
Right.
I mean, obviously, they're in some kind of crazy death cult.
Mr. Borelli for $20 says, Pierce Morgan is a genius. Get the craziest online pundits to fight each other while he is the adult in the room. He got on Sisson defending Biden, Crystal accusing Biden of genocide, and Rubin calling Biden woke all at once. I got to watch that. I saw that thing cropped up. Like, I saw a little thumbnail. I didn't click on it yet, though. So
Pierce has been doing some great stuff. That's
he
for
has
sure.
been. Yeah, Pierce has been killing it recently. Martin the Panda for $10 says, have you covered breaking points lately? They covered Brianna Joy Gray's filing really disingenuous and odd. They recently had Vosh on. It fell off lately, which sucks because they were a go too. I mean, I didn't see them have Vosh on. I don't even know why, but obviously they're gonna cover Brianna's firing dishonestly. They're huge Brianna simps. So
well, and they hate the Gaza
anyway.
stuff, Israel stuff,
right?
So.
In Gaza, yeah, that's true. They're so anti-Israel at the moment that's they can't. It's like an IBS.
They've got a libertarian who's anti-interventionist, and you've got Crystal who is anti-interventionist because she's like, they're committing a genocide in Gaza, so they align on that issue. Right. Yeah, so they go way off the rails together. When normally they're supposed to be checking one another.
Right, which is not going on at all. So.
Yeah.
M8566 for $5 says, the power of one, the power of two, the power of Blunty Fly.
Yep.
There you go. That's what Biden needed. He needed all those lesbian force witches to like possess him and control him like the Wookiee last night and or on Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
Give a better speech. M8566 for $5 says, Annie 1, Rita 2. There you go. Lucy in the Sky, thanks so much for the 5 gifted memberships, despite being a dirty, dirty sticker.
Oh, you're worse than Biden now. So old. That's such an old joke. You need a new one, Grandpa.
Okay. Look at this. This is Adam doesn't like that I say it, so he's gonna try to bully me and he's gonna try to embarrass me to stop saying it.
No,
And that's gonna make
just
me
mix
now
it
that I've
up.
said it, I'm gonna just double down even more.
Comedy is about surprise, Sitch, and no one is surprised by your dirty, dirty sticker joke anymore.
It's
So
not.
You have to mix
It's
it
not
up. You have to
comedy. It's
mix
just.
it up.
It's like Kano.
This is a comedy show, though.
Okay, listen to this guy.
This is a comedy show.
Yeah,
you
look
need
at
to
him,
mix
look
it
at
up.
Whining.
I expect you to do some writing on that joke.
Stop
and
whining.
Next time, look,
M182
next time,
Abrams for $5 says Lee Atwater would have killed to get the "listen to him" line.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be all over the.
And he said it weird
ads.
too, and he smiled oddly afterwards. So it's creepy.
Trump couldn't help himself too, because remember, at this moment, Trump is supposed to be rooting for Joe Biden to stay in the race. But I guess, I don't know what the reporter was talking about, but it sounds like Trump couldn't help himself. He's like, now I'm vice president.
Mm-hmm. Lost Library Book for $10 says, you guys interested in debating, talking to Destiny on Biden's replacement issue? Not really.
Oh my God,
I'm
Sitch.
not at all interested in that.
Sitch.
So, I mean, I'm not really interested in debating that issue that much to anyone. It's like blatantly obvious that he should be replaced. I don't. It's just stupid.
You got to pull a Glenn Greenwald on this, Sitch.
Yeah. What's that?
The Glenn Greenwald. You know what the Glenn Greenwald is.
Just say yes and then the lie. Yeah, I understand. Right. But that.
You're I thought, yeah, sure, that'd be great.
Just go. I'll go back and listen to his talk, his debate with Cenk. That was great, with both of them just insulting each other. So that's like, I think that's like the top of that kind of debate question you're ever gonna get. That Nobody guy, thanks so much for joining the Free Will Seekers. J-Mac, her surrogate father, Daddy J-Mac, thank you so much for the $20. Says, good news, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good news, a press conference.
Mr. Borelli for $10 says, sorry to keep bringing him up, but a caller confronted David Pacman about his Trump-Biden cognitive coverage. He said he was just relying on the opinions of doctors. Do you think that is a good excuse?
I saw that.
I saw that. That clip is kind of insane. Yeah. Where David's like, I'm just listening to doctors. Like, shut up. This like, you were very obviously providing this weird brand of copium for your audience. He did it again. He did it recently, like a few days ago. He's like,
I know.
Trump said crazy things that make no sense. And every time you click it, you're like, okay, it's literally a 4-second clip where I don't even know what the fuck Trump is talking about, because it's a 4-second clip of him just saying some random line. And then I go and I find the actual speech and it's like, oh, it's just, Trump is trying to be funny or saying something that's like not really true, but it's not like crazy. It's not like he's having a mental breakdown the way that Dave Pacman like tries to make it sound like. So
if it came out that David Pacman had a gambling addiction and he like had a hit out on his name because he owed so much money, I would understand the whole David Pacman channel. Like he can't sleep at night knowing.
That's terrible.
I mean, this is insane.
Yeah.
He's like the Boogie of the political realm.
Wow.
Just
I don't
believe anything he says or does.
Nor should you.
It's just weird. He seems smart enough to know what he's doing.
No, I mean, I lost all respect for him during the Rittenhouse stuff. He was being so wildly dishonest.
You're right.
About Rittenhouse, yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
And the judge and everything. So
he is audience captured. Look, people say that a lot about us. It's totally untrue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
But it seems very true with David Pacman. David Pacman, obviously this split with Biden being in cognitive decline. He's been saying that Trump is actually in cognitive decline more than Biden. So he's been like filling his audience with copium. And there's been a huge rift in his audience between the people that want to ride with Biden and the people that are like, we need to dump Biden. And it's caused mayhem in David's mind, because now he's like, oh my God, my audience is splitting apart. Who do I cater to?
There's like this creepy thing that you don't really, I mean, it's hard to tell when it's like online. It's much more apparent when you're talking to someone in person, where they say something to you and you know it's online, they've been fed, and their face kind of like goes like a little blank, and they just say it and you're like, that's not true. But then they'll just fight you to the death on it. And And it's when people would make that statement about like Trump's more cognitively impaired than Biden. Remember
Oh,
when people
you
used to say
know
this?
right where it comes from.
Right. And whenever I'd meet someone like that say that, like they're like something about their energy would change and like you'd feel like the NPC like click on and they'd say it to you. And I just look at them like kind of cock my head to the side like a dog and be like, oh no, they've entered into the cognitive dissonance zone. And it's really weird to like wonder how much of, I mean, obviously that's for most people that's gone away now, but like how much of it is do they have the little voice niggling in the back of their mind that tells them like that's not true when people are doing that? You know,
It could be a signaling thing. They're trying to figure out if you're a David Pacman watcher too. They're like, is he going to take the bait?
maybe.
Does he watch David Pacman
Right.
too?
Right. So,
Or are you both going to indulge in this shared delusion?
right. Now, conservatives do that when they tell me, like, listen, there's a long history of fake electors, Sitch. You don't understand. I'm like, oh, God, stop.
Those are alternative electors, Sitch.
Yeah,
I
okay.
really wish you'd show some respect
Okay.
for her.
Jay Hendricks for $5 says, quote, listen to him. Had to mean something more like get a load of this reporter, but this came off as listen to Trump. Either way, foot and mouth. Yeah, I mean, it's the problem is it's not clear what exactly he meant. We have to try to interpret, so. But you never really want when you're the president. J-Mac or Circuit Far, thanks so much for the $20. Daddy J-Mac says, also bad news, everyone. My biceps are too big for my special cosplay. Gonna need some cosplay magic to make it work. Wow. Well, what would be cosplaying at a con if not last minute alterations to fix your costume, right?
Yeah.
Look at this. Look at that brag there. Like J-Mac's like, I would just too buff for my costume. It won't even fit me anymore. So
That's
good
a
for you.
great problem to have.
Yeah. J-Mac, thanks so much, our surrogate father, for the 50 gifted memberships.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. So generous of you. And welcome new members.
Grassroots Hegemon for $5 says, I forgot to pay for my membership to this cult. I mean, free will membership. J-Mac arrived precisely when he meant to. There you go. Thank you. Automod for $5 says, Pacman, quote, when I said the trial was a circus, that I just mean the judge is a wacky guy. You can't fact check me on this. For fuck's sakes. Yeah, there was that was really crazy because after the trial he did a debate, I think with Destiny that we watched, and it was like Dave Pacman was being super, super slimy in that conversation.
Right.
Sala for $2 says, maybe I misremember, but why did you bring up the Swift boat veterans when talking about Romney? That was when W was running. Also, I thoroughly believe everyone's saying he was fine, had never had a family member suffer from dementia. I think you are misremembering because I don't remember what the context was, but we didn't bring it up with Romney. We brought up in with Kerry. Kerry's the one who got Swift boated. So,
yep.
But I mean, it's possible, yeah, that people's they never had that. That's very possible. They never experienced it. So, Dr. Diller for $2 says, did you see the new Acolyte episode? Aside from how atrocious it was, how about Philosophy Tube had one speaking line and absolutely fucking blew it? We did, and we covered it on our second channel, How to Kill a Franchise. Check it out.
Yeah, it's great.
Sell for $2 says, no fan of Kamala, but to be fair, she casted many tie-breaking votes in the Senate during Biden's first 3 years. Also, would you have Wick TV back on to debate Biden? He's all in. Quote, it's just the pundit class that wants him out. Is he really? That's kind of surprising because usually Wick seems pretty sharp. So I think that's a rare Wick L. But yeah, we talked to him about it. Sure.
Sure.
Dr. Diller for $2 says voting for Biden despite Parkinson's is just tribalism. And it means you don't deserve respect. You're willing to just let your emotions run your life because it's politics. True. Jack H for $2 says, oops, my last super went through 10 seconds before he stopped streaming. To follow up. Oh, did it? Oh, let me go back a second. I missed it. Jack H for $2 says, usual domestic policies take priority, but domestic politics be damned when the current POTUS is sleepwalking us into World War III. I don't like Trump much at all, but I'd rather have another 4 years of miserable people halting over Twitter. To follow up, Joe being exposed as weak hastens our adversaries to act while he's still POTUS. You think China will wait to blockade Taiwan until Donald Trump is back? Yeah, I do think it's unclear. You know, it's a good possibility the next 4 years China will make a move on Taiwan. Everyone seems to be putting that up. And if Biden is president, that seems to be
This is the time to do it, China.
yeah, like 100%. So
Swoop in there. Jill Biden doesn't care.
Right.
She's getting her hair done.
The
She's
problem
got
with
her
Trump,
own theme music.
the problem with Trump is it's like to some extent being a wild card to keep people afraid or guessing is good in some avenue, but he's also too much of a wild card in a bad way, and that's because that he has so much isolationist fan base and voter base that the wild card is not will Trump like blow us up. The wild card is will Trump care, and that's not really good. It's not really clear what America's foreign policy would be under Trump.
He doesn't have to get him to vote for him again, though.
That's
like
true.
second term, he's going to be totally unchained. He's going to be thinking, I need accomplishments. I don't need voters. So you got to kind of look at what the accomplishment is going to be.
Right.
Like you think the isolation, you think a big presidential accomplishment is isolation from the world, Sitch? You think that's what Trump is going to be thinking? Oh, yeah.
It might be. What do you mean? He keeps saying, I didn't start any wars. As the only president that didn't start any new wars. That was what he says about his first term all the time.
I was the president that withdrew from the entire world. That's what I will be remembered for.
Listen, I could see
running
it going,
home with my tail between my legs.
Here's the first of all, there was two issues. Number one, I could see it going either way, where him either helping Ukraine fight off Russia or telling Ukraine to fuck off, or helping Taiwan fight off China and telling them to fuck off. I could literally see either direction. It's not clear. I can see it any way. But more importantly than that is you could be right. He could be like, I don't really care shit about my isolationist voters anymore because I don't need the win. I just want to have like the legacy of being tough on China or whatever. That could come to fruition, but will China realize that until after it's too late? That's the issue, right? Because you don't want China to basically do what Russia did, which is they invade because they think no one's going to stop them.
Right.
And then someone does, and then everyone gets mad and they go, oh, shit. And then they're stuck in it for years. So,
yeah.
That's the issue.
It's hard for me to imagine China invading Taiwan with Trump as president. It really is.
I don't know. No one really thought Russia was going to invade Ukraine.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
So
I'm
for
curious
$2,
how Trump will handle that if he's elected. But
right.
I think the chances right now, I think the chances are much stronger. Biden gets pushed out. Some new shiny Democrat comes in and Trump loses.
I think that's...
And Trump's legacy is, we'll never know what Trump would have done in the Ukraine situation.
I think that's very likely. Yeah. I think that's very likely.
I think that's the direction we're
I think the
trending
biggest
here.
kind of foreign policy fuck up right now for the Biden administration is why and no one's really explained why is America so weak on the Houthis? Still.
Oh, yeah.
They're still, the Houthis are still fucking over global shipping and we're just letting it happen. And no one's explained why. And it makes America look like a fucking joke. And it makes Joe Biden look like a fucking joke.
If Zihan is right, it's because we're withdrawing from the world anyway. So we don't care about those shipping lines. Let them worry about it in the Middle East. Let them take care of their own shipping
They should
lines.
care. It raises, yeah, but you should care if it's raising prices here in America, number one.
Move manufacturing back home. Why are we shipping shit all the way over there?
Well, then just say that. You got to say that because otherwise it makes us look weak.
I said it.
Okay, but I'm saying like the administration needs to say that.
It's going to be a crazy. That's insane. If you've got these two candidates that completely ran basically unopposed in the primary, and then one ends up not even getting into the general election, and that would be Biden, and then the other one ends up just losing in a landslide, and that would be Trump.
That would be pretty crazy.
And somebody
person,
that none of us are even talking about right now is going to be our next president. Yeah,
that'd be hilarious.
That would make this election one for the history books.
Dollar for $2 says on whether Trump also has dementia. My mom sums it up best. He doesn't have dementia. He's just an asshole. There's also reports that if Biden is replaced, GOP lawyers will try to block the new nominee in court. Yeah, that is definitely a thing. That some of them will do that. I mean, it'd be kind of hilarious because you're going to see, God, I fucking despise this. You're going to see some disgusting despicable levels of partisanship just weasel out of people on the right if that happens. So trying to defend that maneuver.
What's the maneuver? I was
If
reading the
Biden
chat.
gets replaced and a bunch of GOP local races try to prevent him from whoever the replacement is from being on the ballot. So
I mean, I'm under the impression that Democrats have a place on the ballot for their official candidate, no matter what. That's just
I think
a thing.
I think there's some states or counties or districts that it's not as clear.
Okay, well,
So
I guess we'll see what happens.
we'll
But
see. But
I mean, I looked into the rules and this is what I found. But unless the internet is wrong or
right.
people are gaslighting, who
Right.
knows?
Yeah. And you'll see the weasels come out and they'll defend it and they'll say, oh, they tried to get Trump off the ballot. So therefore, that justifies it because someone somewhere else did something that justifies us doing something different somewhere else too. It's like, okay.
What about when the Dems did it?
I know. It's like, people just can't just say like, well, okay, yeah, everyone said it was bad when they did it. So it doesn't mean that you should do it. Like, it's so retarded. But nope, they don't care.
Oh my God, I can't believe this shit. The poll is to 51-49. I fucking will Dems force Biden out?
Right.
Why is it always got to be so close, Sitch?
There you go.
This is what the election is going to be too.
So
everyone's
for $2
talking about landslides, but it's always 51-49.
Seller for $2 says on Tesla, he left Edison to work for Westinghouse, where there was a run on the bank and his company. Tesla tore up his contracts with him to save the company and AC. The 90s, they bought CBS, who were then bought by Viacom. Interesting.
Yeah.
Says for $2 says I thought Biden sounded pretty good here, and I caught up to live.
Oh, you were listening at 2 times speed, huh?
That's funny. That's funny. That's even worse. If it's like 2 times thing, you're like, oh, it sounds fine. And then you hit the normal speed. You're like, oh, holy shit. Dr. Diller for $2 says, I've talked a lot of neurologist. Yeah, that was really a bad line to fuck up. Look, Pisco for $2. Pretty sure this is the actual Pisco. Says, I don't know. That press conference reassured me. There you go. There you go.
I pinned Anna's message to get her in big trouble.
Nice. Solid for $2 says Sagar is not a libertarian. He's a right-wing populist. He declared libertarianism dead when the pandemic began. I assume because he supported the lockdowns, at least at first. By the way, it sounded like Biden released his delegates. Yeah, you know what? I forgot. I'm glad you brought that up, Sella. That's why that person kept asking that question. It did. That is going to create I wonder if Biden saying that is going to create a weird legal fuck up for him. Because it did sound like he released his delegates, didn't? In his answer,
he said, "Let them vote for whoever they want."
Yes,
yeah, it's not gonna. He's like, it's not gonna happen. They're still gonna vote for me. Yeah.
Right now, I don't know what the legality is of all that. If him just simply saying it verbally means they can't, I don't know. But
look, if I'm a delegate right now, I'm like, I heard you. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I do wonder.
Bitch.
I do wonder if that counts as releasing them or not.
I'm free.
That would be hilarious if that turned out to be the thing that does him over. It's a stupid answer. He gave a stupid answer during a press conference, his big boy press conference. So, okay.
Can you vote for a woman named Gretchen?
That's a pretty bad name, yeah.
Gretchen.
I know.
Okay.
Human Flourishing for $5 says shameful display. I was incorrect that Biden would step down, but I still think he'll be forced out. Thank you, gents, for covering the vid. Yeah, I agree. Stock for $5 says, I haven't been able to make the joke work, but I call Pacman Hackman, and I want to use the South Park clip of Christopher Reeves and Gene Hackman. I don't remember that clip that you're talking about, but I have faith you'll figure out how to make it work, Stock. John for $10 says, if Biden stays in and gets a nomination, the media will immediately start carrying water for him again. I don't think so. I think what will happen is because the polls will still show Biden just dropping and dropping and dropping, and they're not, there might be a tiny bump if he gets a nomination, but it's just they're never coming back. I think if Biden gets a nomination and stays in, the media's just going to become super depressed, and they're going to become very, very angry. and they're just going to be ready. Actually, if Trump, it could be better psychologically if Trump is going to win. Okay. Part of the problem, the reason the media like lost its mind when Trump won the first time is because it was unexpected, and because they didn't like since it was unexpected, their worldview broke, and they had to like grab something to explain why Trump won. And unfortunately, they were grabbing the CRT racism label, right?
Yep.
But now, fortunately, they don't have to do that. I don't think they will do that. I think they'll grab the Joe Biden is a fucking piece of shit who, stayed in way too long, like this, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and just really screwed, them over.
Yeah,
So
it's a preordained narrative.
Right. So if Trump does win or is going to win, I think Biden staying in will be better for the media's psyche because they'll have a very clear like person they can blame for it other than racism.
Yeah, they're going to be saying that for months anyway. You're going to lose to Trump.
Right.
Oh, look, we were right.
Yeah, exactly.
Crisis averted.
They'll be patting themselves on the back saying, "We told you, we told you." A very dead horse for $2 says, "Did you see Shapiro testify in front of Congress?" I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched about an hour and a half of it. Ben Shapiro did very well. He came off very well in his testimony. He completely eviscerated Eric Swalwell. I don't know what the fuck Eric Swalwell was thinking. That was pathetically cringe what Eric Swalwell was doing and weird. He's like trying to do all these gotchas on Ben Shapiro that have nothing to do with whatever the topic of the hearing was about. It was super weird and bizarre, and it did not work at all. He looked like a fucking fool. As for the subject matter, the subject matter was, they're trying to bring a sort of monopoly claim against against Unilever and some kind of firm that does commercials for a bunch of, manages commercials for a bunch of these different companies, claiming that they're unfairly not allowing companies or promoting that companies should not put their ads on anything considered conservative or right wing. I don't know enough about the fact claim that they're making to stand one side rather than the issue, but Ben did come off very well, at least personally, in front of Congress. So, and all the Democrats that I heard in that Congress all came out like really shitty too. They'll give really bad explanations for everything.
I brought up a picture of the hot Chinese spy that Eric Swalwell slept with, so just so you can.
There you go.
So everyone can.
Right. Well, obviously she didn't sleep with him for his wit.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh.
Adam Unfriended for 18 months says, "At this point, I'd rather vote for Herbert from Family Guy or Klaus from American Dad than Trump or Biden. S-class is the best class." Wow. Wow. He'd rather vote for a pedo. That's not good.
You're going to get your opportunity to vote for someone new, hopefully better than any of those characters.
That's true. So. That's true. 16-pound ham for $5 says, "Democrats need to follow laws, period. If they can't legally make the ballot because they pulled the shit, they deserve to fail to meet deadlines." Well, it depends how it works. My understanding was that they basically, anyone can do it. You just, in some of these districts, there's been like a gentleman's agreement or whatever. So.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. My understanding is each of the national parties, the Democrat Party and the Republican Party, have a sacred spot on the ballot, and they can put whatever candidate they want in there last minute. Like, as long as the ballot hasn't been printed, they can put whatever candidate they want in there. Up to the 11th hour, they're like, they just pencil in Democratic nominee, and then they switch it to whoever it is. So
we shall see.
Yeah. No ballot access difficulties.
And one Guitar Man for $5 says, "Trump wins Nevada, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Georgia if Biden drops, not via 25th or death, FYI, via their local election laws. So he wins." So I guess those would be the states you have to look into, Adam. Nevada, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Georgia if Biden drops out.
Not via the 25th. Oh, okay.
I'll look into it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
If I'm wrong, prove me wrong. Oh, look. It's our friend Pondering.
Pondering Politics for $20. Thank you so much. It says, 1 hour behind, got to skip to the end. You said it's an unmitigated disaster, but was there any positives? How do you think Trump would handle similar presser with similar questions?
Oh my God, for real? He'd destroy it. He'd utterly annihilate it.
There you go.
He would. Just look, oh.
I think he would basically give the same answer. I don't know if I'd say he'd destroy it compared to Biden, but I think he would give basically the same kind of vague general non-answers he gave during the debate.
Trump did that town hall meeting with the hostile CNN lady, and they literally quit 45 minutes early because she couldn't hack it. Like, Trump eats these things up for lunch. I just look, he performs well in these hostile environments.
I'm saying, according to the last big performance we saw for Trump at the debate, he just gave very vague, generic answers to every question. So that's what he would do for this exact thing.
Well, look, the town hall I'm talking about with the CNN, the female CNN
I
host
remember, yeah.
that was very hostile towards him.
Yes.
I exaggerate when I say 45 minutes. It might have been like 15 minutes or something, but they did actually end early because it was going so poorly for them.
Right.
He
that
pulled
was
out
last
a piece
year,
of paper and he
that
said,
was
look,
last year.
Yeah. Oh, you
Okay.
think he's got cognitive decline?
No, I think he's just getting older. He's slowing down. He was slow at the debate. People just didn't notice because Biden was like 10 million times worse.
Trump is dying to do something like this. Oh my God. He would love to do something like this.
I'm skeptical. But
Look,
anyway,
if you ask Trump, hey, you want to do the Super Bowl interview? What would Trump say?
of course he would say
Hell fucking
that.
yes.
Of course he would say that.
Yeah. So look, maybe we disagree, but
We do. But whatever.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it on Sunday. I really got to go. So
all right. Take care, everyone.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thanks a lot. Great show. I loved it. It was amazing.